And we're live.
Yes,
Welcome.
we are.
Yes, we are. Welcome. Welcome to the White Hag in Sligo on a
Crispy
sharp, crispy,
Friday
cold
evening.
Cold. It's colder than a Siberian stare in Sligo, for those of you who wish to know. But that's good news because it's stout season, right?
Yep, absolutely. When that sun starts setting early, it's time to bust out the dark stuff.
Yeah, and of course we've been busting out the dark stuff, as in making it, mainly Joel, for the past 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah, non-stop.
Yeah,
Non-stop.
pretty much non-stop. We've got 7 stouts in the tank / in the cold room, or the warehouse, which is the cold room is the warehouse at the moment. Right now, 7?
In here, 6.
6.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were talking about degrees.
Beers, degrees.
Yeah, we have 7 beers and it's 6 degrees in here.
Yeah, okay, that's it. Probably a lot of them around 5%.
Yeah.
The dark druid stuff. Before we move for another second, before we get into any detail at all, we're going to do one thing because we fail to do this on every live stream we do. So we're going to start the beer.
Start by opening a beer.
Do you want to bring us into this one?
This is going to be our first guy, the Dark Druid chocolate and orange pastry stout. So this is a fashioned after a, so I've been told, a seasonal favorite around these parts. Chocolate covered orange or orange flavored chocolate, whatever.
I love how that we've had to tell you that. It's obviously one of the cultural things that doesn't cross the ocean, Terry's chocolate orange, the novelty of round chocolate and what that means to people here. It's traditionally an English brand, traditionally an English style of chocolate, but something we probably had as a luxury here in the 90s, I would have said, growing up.
I really enjoyed it. It's very, you wouldn't think it, the chocolate and the orange combination. You wouldn't think in your head, because like when you think of orange, you think citrusy, sharp, kind of tart, and then obviously chocolate is savory and rich. But when they come together, they're actually like a nice juxtaposition of sensations.
Yeah. No, it's
really lively and bright, but you still get that like soft chocolate on there.
It's one of those kind of things that mess with your mind when you stick your nose in this. I was doing a tasting last night with a bunch of people, just a group, a business who wanted to do a kind of private tasting for Christmas, and the reaction was just off the charts. Like people who don't normally drink craft beer, they thought Ninth Wave was out there, and then they opened this, and their heads started exploding on the Microsoft Teams. That juxtaposition of kind of citrus and chocolate in a stout isn't something that kind of is known to many people or is common to even encounter.
Yeah, I've only used orange in one other dark beer. We did the barrel-aged barley wine with...
What did you say, Joe?
Yeah, huh? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? We did the barrel-aged barley wine with our friends over at Brew by Numbers.
Oh, yeah.
There's the barley rye wine, and actually we used a bit of orange peel in that. It didn't come through like this nearly as much. But
was there orange peel in, I'm going to say, white IPA? No?
No. Yeah. Well, yeah. We use orange peel in those, but like I'm saying, darker beers, because that barley wine was really, it was more brown. It wasn't black, but
it was heavy going.
I'm not good. I make beer for a living. I don't.
Well, Joe's struggling with the technology, and we hope we're gathering people as we go. We hope people are beginning to click into the link. If you have been lucky enough to stumble upon the link on Facebook or on YouTube, share it please, because there's bound to be a lot of people scrambling around looking for it at the moment on the event. We're going to give you a bit of context, a bit of background as to why this happened, why we're all here right now. One of the things that's happened over the years as we established the brewery here in Sligo is that we built an affinity and a connection with local businesses, so other people who operate, especially in the food industry in the area. One of the things we stumbled upon when we built Extravaganza, the festival, was that on the day before the festival we would bring guests, the brewers, some distributors, some trade from around Europe. We'd bring them to the brewery, but we also wanted to bring them to other places. So we wanted to kind of show them Sligo, show off the best of what Sligo had. And I had met the guys from the Oyster Farm a couple of times before, and I thought it'd be a nice place to go, even though it's not exactly built for tourists. And so we just asked, can we come down? And sure enough, they threw the gates open, threw open the oyster sheds, and the very first year we went down, we brought probably 20, 25 brewers, and they just brought out carts of oysters, explained the process. We had a little linder machine for pouring the stout, and we just poured dry stout and shucked oysters along the shore, and that was it. That was the memory that's been, I think, stuck in people's brains. Whenever we travel and meet other people, they talk about the oysters. It's the thing that's travelled far and wide, ahead of us, like more than our beer in some instances. And so for years we've been doing this, visiting the farm, and then when they do events, we give them some beer and they come to our events, and we've just kind of grown this kind of mutual appreciation. And over the summer we were just out there for a walk and met some of the guys, and we were speaking about the potential that Extravaganza had to be an online festival, and we talked about, you know, the natural combination of oysters and stout, and it's been a very famous festival topic and theme in Ireland for years. There's a very famous one in Galway, out in Clarenbridge, and in the city centre, and of course in different parts of the country you get a different type of celebration of oysters in oyster season. We're going to hear more about that from Owen later on. So we just said, look, we're going to do this. We've done a couple of online events over the summer and since March because of the situation we're in, and we knew that there was definitely a cohort of people who take part in our events and who come to the brewery, because every year we've got Glenn Hunter and his oyster cart out at the front during Extravaganza, and he generally sells somewhere between 600 and 700 oysters. Hope the revenue aren't listening, Glenn. What has kind of come out of that is that, look, there's a lot of people who like this food, let's try and do something. Now, the tricky part, and as one of our friends said, the most ambitious part of this is sending oysters around the country. We know that there's one or two of you watching who didn't get your oysters, who didn't get the beer box, and like right up to 6 o'clock we were dealing with queries. They're in courier depots or they're in vans. We really hope they arrive tomorrow at the latest, but the majority of you got them. It was ambitious, but that part of it is developed by oystersdirect.ie, our friends, one of whom works on the farm and has developed this business with his wife. So that's Owen and Yvette, and Owen's the guy who put all this together. I would say Yvette put the majority of the boxes and packaging together, and Owen is the one who's joining us today. So Owen, if you're ready, we're going to get you in the next kind of couple of minutes. Join us. So Owen's going to bring us through the oysters and bring us through how we treat them and just give you a bit of background to them, if that's all right. And yeah, that's kind of the rationale. The other thing I would like to say is that I talked about the oysters traveling. I remember being at a beer event in 2018, I'm going to say, in Moscow, a craft beer festival, and we went after the event into Fred the Red, one of the big craft beer bars in the middle of Moscow, and like midnight, place is packed full of brewers and beer fans and whatever, and I'm kind of standing around taking all this in, and there's a 50-inch screen in the corner of the bar, and up pops the Oyster Farm down in Strand Hill and our stout, but it's Johnny, what's his name? Johnny Garrett from the Craft Beer Channel on a tour of Sligo, on a tour of the Oyster Farm, and I'm like, unbelievable. This has gone further than we are, and it's the thing on the screens, and we're sitting there drinking, watching it. So yeah, it travels well, and hence why we're here today. But stout.
Yeah, absolutely, stout. Stout is probably the backbone of Ireland as an American brewer in Ireland. Happy to know that most of our stouts get fairly good reviews. As we mentioned earlier there, we've got 7 either out or coming out. There will be, a total of 7 for this year, which is an incredible amount of different stouts. A lot of them have been, fancy flavored stouts, but we obviously still every year have the Black Boar, which is always received very well.
Yeah, and the barrel age.
And especially the barrel age.
Yeah.
Happy I was going down through the list of all the stuff that we were able to get a hold for this event, and we've got some incredible beers coming up, like Shane down at Dot Brew and with his Licorice Imperial Stout. There was
Giampa.
Yeah, Giampa.
Giampa from Labrada.
Anybody that's watched us before probably knows who Giampa is. He's a standout guy. I'm really looking forward to Wide Street, what they're doing. Those guys are brand new. Sean's been a big supporter of the White Hag since day one.
Yeah.
There's an entire list of incredible stouts coming. So
people asked us how we picked this list, and we literally sat down one day and talked about breweries who we love stout from, and then breweries who we haven't had it from, but that we'd like to. And so Wide Street is one of those.
Yeah, I haven't had it yet, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I think Tiny Rebel are a brewery who I love to meet on the scene, on the festival scene, or at events in the UK or anywhere. They're great crack, but we've never actually had them at a festival or never done an event with them, and that's why they're on the list. And they also make great pastry stouts.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the rationale.
That's it. That's in again. Why do it? Why do an oyster? Why do an oyster and stout festival? Obviously, they seem to go hand in hand. I was very skeptical the first time when you were talking about the event that we had out of Strand Hill, out at the Oyster Farm, and I was like, man, dry stout and oysters, but it works really, really well. I'm a very, very conservative foodie.
Picky.
I don't go too far outside of what I grew up with. I try to experiment a little bit. I tell people that I'm a utilitarian eater. I eat because I have to. So I eat to survive. I don't necessarily. I like beer. Beer's my thing. Food is just a necessity. So the oyster thing, it took me about, I think the first time we were out there, it took me about 15 minutes to talk myself into it.
Yeah.
And I don't mind them now.
I used to have an allergy. I used to have an intolerance to fish. I wasn't able to eat fish until about 3 years ago, and I had to really convince. When you have an intolerance, you really have to convince yourself to eat it. I started with cooked ones, and then I went. I've only ever had cooked ones actually at the farm, and then I went to meet Robin Gill in London one night. Hence, he's here joining us later on. And Robin pulled out a full tray of raw oysters and a pint of Guinness, and I was like, oh no, I can't say no now, and just sat there, myself, him and Rob Young, and just sculled Guinness and oysters for an evening. It was supposed to be a business meeting that got quite messy.
The things you do to be polite. I'm going to go ahead and risk my life here, but...
to other Irish people abroad, don't look like an Egypt now. Whatever you do, don't look like an Egypt, and don't not drink the Guinness and not eat the oysters from Ireland. So look, speaking of, I think we should bring Owen out. Owen, are you ready?
You're ready there.
Yeah, he's just banging away at the back. Before you shuck an oyster, Owen has pointed out a couple of safety issues he's going to bring up. So I'm going to let Owen bring you through those. But there's a particular method he's going to use. I'll let Owen in there. Do you want to pull in on Owen there?
Shipped out there.
I'm going to shuffle you around the side
Joe,
here.
would you grab that plate, please?
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Bob.
This is Owen Carter, ladies and gentlemen, from oystersdirect.ie.
Hi, everybody.
From Sligo.
Thanks very much. I just wanted to thank Bob. Really exciting to be involved in this, and just very
appreciative of
getting us involved.
No problem. No problem at all.
So I hope everybody got their oysters.
Don't mention the war. There's one or two people out there. But anyways, majority of them. And
I hope when you get them, you enjoy them anyway. That's the main thing.
So look, do you want to give us a quick bit of context before you open it as to how this happens, like a 1 minute blitz through how an oyster happens?
How from start to finish?
In a minute.
All right. Well, to start with, they start off about microscopic, swimming in water. You might have seen it in the video.
Yeah.
And then when they're about 3 or 4 weeks old, I think, they stop swimming and become a shell, and they become a miniature oyster. So from there, it's a long process. It takes anywhere between 2 and 4 years to get it. So this is probably 3 years old.
So is it like a tree? Like because I've seen, when you look at the shells, you can see these layers.
Yeah.
So is this kind of like part of their
to a
growth?
degree, yeah. No, some people will tell you that they can see it exactly and when it's pointed out, you can see here there are definite rings from different seasons, because the growing season in the summer, they really just burst into growth.
Yeah.
You know? So for maybe 3 months in the summertime, they grow a massive amount. And then this time of year, there's literally no feeding in the water, so they just
slows down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but now to get them to this point, you wouldn't believe the amount of work that goes into it.
I can imagine.
Because they grow so fast that the shape can go out. So we basically every month during the summer for 6 months, we have to shake every single oyster, every bag. So you have a bag with maybe 100 to 150 oysters in it, and or more. But we have to shake each one on once a month, just to keep them right.
Brilliant.
So yeah, fair play to the lads.
It's unbelievably hard work because you're out in the sea. You're out when the tide is out. You're out on the sea bed in overalls and wellies and gloves and hats and stuff. It's like it's Baltic at times out there.
Yeah. Well, it depends how hard you're working. Yeah, it's funny. I was actually out there earlier and I had like 3 layers on. Why am I? Why have I so much clothes on? Sure. Look,
it helps that you're that tall as well, actually, in case the tide comes in. Big shout out to Mike and Brian, who cleaned the tanks all the way to the top this time because the cameras are so obviously wide pan to try and get on in. Look, do you want to bring us through a couple of treatments of the oysters?
Yeah. Okay. So, do you want me to show you how to open one first?
Yes. Yes. Critical.
So, Right, so
that's the hard part.
Yeah, do you want to get us a zoom in on this, James?
So the thing with oysters is that to get a good meat in an oyster, we have to get it in and out of the tide often.
Okay.
So that makes the meat, it builds up the muscle basically, gives you good meat inside the shell, but it also makes it extremely hard to open it. The difference between opening an oyster that has lived underwater all its life, you just pop it open. But when they're hardened up, as we call it.
Is that so the air doesn't get in or something, or is
it just keeps them. They stay longer. They last longer because they're able to hold their shell shut, and that means they can hold the bit of water that they have in the shell. They can hold it tight.
So you're exercising them.
Yeah, exactly.
So because you told me that they should ship and should be stored cup up, so the water has no way of leaking out.
Yeah. So you can see here, like there's a lot of barnacles on this. They'll show you how much food there is in our bay. But you can see the cup side here, and then the flat side.
Yeah.
So basically, if you can leave it on with the cup side down, even if it does, sometimes they just relax and they just open a little bit. It'll mean that if it's upright like that, the water doesn't leak out of it. So when it closes back up again, if it gets, it just gets a little dent, bump or something, it'll close back up again, and it'll keep it just all the fresher,
Deadly.
But so they're quite strong, so it makes it very hard to get into them. So hopefully everyone got their knife in their pack as well.
Yeah.
And
we send weapons out to everyone.
So basically, I'm going to show you the safest way of doing it.
We should have probably got Garda vetting actually before we send them.
Yeah, I was wondering, were you going to be a bit worried about a guy wandering around your brewery with a knife? Like?
What are you going to send these people?
Where's all your beer?
A load of 10% beer and a knife. Yeah, that'll make for fun.
Yeah. So basically, I'm going to get a tea towel and I'm just going to wrap it up. I've just folded it over a few times just to give it an extra few layers. Everyone knows about layers of cloth at this stage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just wrap it up so that I can still see the hinge, which is this point here. That where it comes into a point. That's where the two shells are attached to each other.
Okay.
So
wrap it
just
up.
leave it like that, so that I'm able to. No, I'll just.
And this should definitely be done over top of your finest couch.
Right? Definitely. Yeah.
So up from above.
And make sure to find a good solid surface to do it on.
We've got an overhead camera there, Steve. Maybe
if you can get it on the overhead, So as you can see there.
Yeah. Little pig in the blanket.
Pig.
little pig in the blanket there.
And just leave it with the hinge sticking out. Just get a good solid grip, but aim the knife away from your hand, obviously. I'm sorry to have to. I know you're not all.
We're not taking any responsibility for whatever happens in the next 3 seconds.
Anyone buy beer should definitely be old enough to know how to use a knife. But anyway, we'll not go there. Anyway, just aim it away and just nice and handy. Just you can see how I've just got it to just stick in. I just try and get a little bit of sideways rather than just twisting it straight away. If you just move it forward and back while pushing it in, and you'll just feel it sort of just loosen, and then it just pops. And there, you can see that the top shell is a bit loose there. I see if I can get it on the camera there.
Yeah.
And then, once the knife is in there, you can actually give it a little twist.
Pop
it up.
Just wedge it up like.
I'll just see if I can get it on the camera there for you. Yeah, it's a bit tough there. Yeah, it's open anyway. Now, you can see the muscle is still attached to the flat shell here.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you try to do, and try not to spill any of the liquor out.
Yeah.
But just
the
to show you
seawater.
I'll try and just slide the sharp edge of the knife along the flat shell, and it cuts the adductor muscle. You can hear it scraping the shell there. You won't actually take off any shell with that, but it just removes it cleanly and gets the muscle away, because that adductor muscle is so tasty.
Yeah.
It's like a whole different texture.
You mean these things have flavour? Other than salt?
Yeah.
So
barley.
one thing to watch out for, and like more often than not, like your first oysters, like making pancakes, like the first one, like just write it off maybe. But anyway, when you get the hang of it, it's great. So then this adductor muscle that I was talking about, it holds the two shells together, so it's attached to the flat shell there. And it's also attached.
That's a dark mark there, is it basically on the top?
Yeah.
That's where it was attached here.
Exactly, yeah. So
then,
so you can just slide the knife along the cupped shell and just cut the adductor off. There, it just came off nicely. And what I like to do then is just turn the oyster over so that you know that it has been removed, because there's nothing more annoying. You go to tip it back and nothing happens. They're left there, so
like an Aegis.
What do? Do I pull it out? Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the safe way of doing it anyway.
Brilliant. I'd say there's at least 10 people at home now ringing an ambulance, blood spurting out of their hand.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do one topping maybe, because we're going to move on to we'll be joined by a couple of people. Maybe do one topping, and then you're going to come back later with a really interesting way of cooking them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
brilliant.
Yeah. So I have a few things here. I have shallot and red wine vinegar. I have Tabasco. Lemon juice in the middle of the plate there, and black pepper.
Brilliant.
A few nice ways to, especially with the different beers or the stouts that you have and porters. You know, there's
going to come out.
Different flavors will go differently. You know, well with different oysters. So, so I would. Right. So you're on the chocolate orange.
Chocolate orange. What do you recommend?
That's a sweet stout, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Like chocolate and chili goes quite well together.
We make a chili chocolate porter,
Yeah. But I feel what he's saying there. Like Tabasco could be a nice juxtaposition. There's that word again.
Yeah.
To the sweetness of the bright orange character.
Yeah.
Because the shallot and red wine vinegar would be very sharp. You know, it's lovely, but I don't know if it would just go well with that.
That's Tabasco.
So Tabasco, 2 drops is probably loads unless you love punishing yourself.
Yeah. When you go. So I've been here already, so I'm watching Joe on this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to have one, obviously.
Do 4 or 5 on for me, would you?
Yeah. Class.
There, I'll give you another few there.
Bring a few more on there.
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
I'm going to give Joe. Oh, Jesus, the stout is nearly gone.
And
luckily, we've got 11 more stouts.
I'm not supposed to eat oysters. I have the gout.
You're not?
But it's all right.
But it's all right now, because this is online, and it's almost like telly. Yeah? Cheers. Good health.
Good health,
everyone. Oh.
It reminds me of being a kid and falling under the waves and not knowing to hold my breath and just swallow an ocean.
That's a very good point. Yeah, that is. Oh, the Tabasco goes so well. I've never had Tabasco.
I like the
oyster
Tabasco.
before.
You don't?
No, I've never had it. No.
That's the only way, dude. I actually usually put everything on
I can see
it.
how that mixes, that salt, the salt of the oyster and the chili spice of the Tabasco mix really well.
But the salt also, because stout tends to be quite bitter. Salt, it really just brings out the sweetness. Whatever way they work together. It's really,
that's class. That is really good.
If you guys can hear me smacking lips, I'm sorry. No, it's really nice.
That was really good. That's a new experience. If you're watching and you're taking part in the shucking/oysters, get the comments on the screen. Comments on YouTube, comments on Facebook, and the guys will share them. If you've got questions for Owen, he's going to be back in about an hour and a half. He'll be up the back shucking and drinking till then. And get the comments going.
Yeah, and I might actually be able to answer your questions.
Okay, you want to leave some oysters with us for the next couple of people we're meeting? Yeah? Perfect.
Can I come back with a few more open?
Yeah. Just drag them up. Just drag them up.
Here, I'll bring down this plate and I'll come back to you.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, Owen.
Much appreciated.
Okay. Deadly stuff. Deadly. Okay. How did you get on? If you don't have blood in your hands, get typing, get some comments up, and let us know what you think. That Tabasco is amazing. That was amazing.
Generally, that's what I like, because we always have the guys at Extravaganza with the cart out there.
Yeah.
And last year I took my son Ben, who at the time was, 9, to the oyster cart, and he was like, I'm going to do it, like, he's a brave kid. He's way more experimental with food than I ever was, even still am. We went out there, and obviously, we've spent a lot of time around these guys at the Oyster Farms stuff, so I've had oysters a few times. But he went out there, he went straight for it, and then he was like, and I'm like, all right, let's do it the way I do it, which is pretty much whatever they have. So lemon, Tabasco, onions, pepper, and I do the whole thing, like
burning the gob off him.
And then he went at it that way and loved it. But the kid eats hot wings and everything, so
that's amazing for a 9-year-old to be doing that. We weren't doing that when we were 9.
Yeah, well.
Nor were we drinking stout when we were 9, were we? I don't think so. Right, first up, bringing us to London is a friend of the brewery and someone we've done events with in the past, hopefully going to do events with again in the future. It is Robin Gill. Robin is chef and proprietor at 4 different venues, including the Dairy and Derby's in London. Do we have Robin? We have Robin?
I see Robin.
I don't have any audio there, Mike.
Can you hear me? Let me see.
We have you there. We're good, and
have you now?
We have you now.
Have you now?
How are you now?
Good stuff.
That's a funny London look you've got going on there, Robin.
It's the hat, it's the beanie trying to look cool, on camera. I wasn't wearing it 10 seconds ago.
It looks a bit it looks a bit crazy. Yeah. How are you keeping?
I'm very well, thank you. And cheers, don't you, everybody?
Cheers.
This first beer, I was a bit dubious with the chocolate and orange thing. I did think Terry chocolate orange instantly. And it did freak me out, but Jesus, lovely, nice and light, and a nice sort of bubble to it. Very nice.
Yeah. I think we've gotten you the oatmeal porter, right?
That's right.
The oatmeal porter
ready.
Yeah. Before we get into the beer, I haven't seen you in, I'd say, the spring this time last year, December. I think it was early December last year.
It was that time, I think, that we met in Derby's when we had a few pints, I think. I thought that was possibly the last time we've seen each other.
Yeah, I think so.
I think. But I haven't been home at all, which is terrible, It's like, I was getting back to Ireland probably, every 6 weeks, for a few days at a time. And this is so strange. I haven't been back in probably about a year now. So it's I'm missing everyone.
Well, because we used to have that event every year in May. I'm going to say May, April or May in Chapter 1. You're cooking, Ross was shouting, and we were doing the beer, and it was just brilliant. Every year that was like a brilliant Sunday in the calendar, and it was like June this year when I remembered it and realised we hadn't done it, and it was kind of like one of the things in the year, you know, like Electric Picnic or the beer events we go to, kind of just became used to doing, and then it was like, shit, this year is just not treating us well, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And it's also one of those events where you kind of put it together. It's just an idea. And the first one was just like, we didn't plan on doing it again. It was just like an initial, let's do this. And then everybody went nuts. It was a fantastic day. Really good fun.
Yeah. If we do that again, Ross had great ambitions to grow it and do something a bit, I don't know, a bit wilder with it. And like, it probably could go wild. Like, I remember leaving there late-ish in the evening, but that's the kind of thing that could run all night. Beer, wine, 7 courses of food. Yeah, brilliant. But you're doing well in London. Are you still operating? Are the places running? Or are you?
Yeah, a couple of the places are open. So we're doing, like, Derby's it's like a fairly decent space where we've got a bakery, we've got a kind of a butcher's on site, and we've got a big decent bar. So we're kind of turned into this kind of off sale of like finish at home, butcher shop, deli, bottle shop, things like that, you know. So that's kept us going. And then what else are we doing? In Sorella, which is our Italian sort of focused restaurant, doing a similar thing there, just open up a shop and then more meals for people to finish at home. But we're coming out of it next week. We're back open on Wednesday.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. Christmas rush or a Christmas
and then they'll probably lock us down again.
You know that's going to happen. Yeah, it's a tough time. It's a really tough time for you guys. It's really tough for the restaurant hospitality business and pubs. Like, it's just unbelievably tough. We've got a different route to market through retail and through online and this kind of thing, events like this. But yeah, it's very challenging for you guys.
But you just have to adapt, and hopefully it's going to be over soon.
There you go. And you know, I think we've all tried to do stuff to work around what's happening to us to keep going. So yeah, it's been good. So here we are. So look, do you want to give us your take? We were gonna I was telling the guys before you joined about eating oysters. Actually, the first time I've ever had fresh oysters was with you in your place, and I didn't tell you that. I'd only ever had cooked oysters because I used to have a fish intolerance before. And you came out with this giant stack of oysters and pints of Guinness, and Rob Young was looking at me, with drool coming out his ears looking at this, and he was like, "There's no way you're not going to eat these." So yeah, I didn't say that at the time, but yeah, that's what got me into it. And we've just had the first one, so you got yours there.
So yeah, I do. Oysters. I'm ready to rock. Yeah, I've got a couple shucked already. Thank you very much. They're lovely, nice and plump. Fantastic oysters.
Do you want to tell us what you do with oysters? What's your favourite way to eat them, and then bring us into it?
Well, I'm going to sound like a bit of a dickhead here on this one because I literally like pulled a few things from the cupboard, and I'm going to get judged on this. It's funny, you know, during this whole lockdown thing, I was doing a few videos at home of cooking things, and I pulled out all these obscure ingredients and was doing these like online cooking shows, and I got absolutely crucified because people were saying, "Who has that in their cupboard? Who does your man think he is?" So this is a classic one of those. I'm a chef, for God's sake, so just go easy on me. You know what I mean? So what I've tried to do is like, I looked at my cupboard and I do have a few nice things, but with oysters and with especially with seafood, I try not to go away from the main flavour, you know. And I've been looking up, so I don't know if you can see this. I hold it up. So this is, I'll go that way.
Bring it in.
Hang on.
Yeah. There we go.
Almost, sir.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, we have it.
So this one, I got actually a Food on the Edge.
With JP?
JP's thing. I got given this dried seaweed a while ago. So this is dillisk, so dried dulse. So what I've done is I've taken that. So and this reminds me, I actually went to visit a friend of mine who I met or became a friend on the back of one of those things. A guy called John, who's got a company called Castle. He's based in Connemara, and I went out to visit him. So huge admiration for the lads doing all the work out there. I went out for one day, shucking those oysters, or like shaking those bags, and it's not easy. You know, I was crying by the end of it. Only one day.
Blisters on your elbows.
So you know, fair dues. So, but what I found when I was there, that on, you know, you see that with the lads, they have those racks where they're kind of draining the oysters, or so that when the tide comes in, it kind of keeps them clean, and that's where they feed. On all of those frames, there's the most amazing abundance of seaweed growing there, and I was able to identify a lot of them. but the flavour was unbelievable. So when upon visiting that space, his plot in Connemara, I harvested a couple of the different types of seaweed, and we went into a pub afterwards with a tray of the oysters, and we cooked a few in the fire, and then we put some of the fresh seaweed into whiskey, and we tried all sorts of different things. And anyway, that's kind of what I'm getting to, a long-winded thing. So I've matched it with seaweed. So what I've done is I've made I had another Japanese flavor is miso, white miso. So what I did was I made like a dashi. So I brought up some water, I put the dried seaweed into the water, then I put a white miso into the liquor, and then I seasoned it with a little bit of rice wine vinegar as well. So I've got this kind of almost like let's call it like a seaweed sort of salsa. And so what you've got there is a big umami flavors. I almost think it's a little bit malty, which is great with stout, obviously. It's got that kind of full layered, like almost like like in a most amazing sort of mushroom sort of flavor, you know? Not too salty, obviously because of the oysters. And then what I've also got is I've got a little bit of cucumber, which I just put a little bit of salt in there, and some nori. I had some dried nori as well. See how many people are calling me an asshole at home. Yeah. Nori in there.
Lighten up the comments then.
I've got nori at home.
Nori at home. You know what I mean?
This dickhead has.
This dickhead has. Wow.
I was talking about me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were okay. Yeah.
Oh man, I've got everything.
So that's what I'm going to do. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of the seaweed onto the oyster, the cucumber. I've got some fresh shallots, so you get that burst of freshness and that allium flavour, and I've got a little bit of that nori powder as well. You're going to dust over the side. So what do we do? Do we pour the beer first and then taste it, or should I taste the oyster?
Pour the beer.
Yeah, you better pour the beer because we already did.
Yeah, we did. We're about halfway through the can already. Yeah. So it's always better to know what you're drinking. You haven't had this before either.
And in case nobody knows, this is the Cauldron of Plenty, aged on Caro coffee.
So Cauldron of Plenty is a porter we've done probably the last 2 or 3 years, but this version, Joe?
Yeah, this is it's an oatmeal porter. So porters are not stouts. They're a little lighter than stouts, closer to kind of a draft style of stout that comes out of Dublin. Yeah. So porter, not as thick, not as heavy, a little crisper on the finish. But then this was actually finished on really freshly roasted coffee, Brazilian coffee, from our local guys here, Andrew at Caro Coffee. Yeah. And he's doing incredible coffees down there. We're very, very fortunate to have a guy locally banging out freshly roasted stuff. So
it's like Sligo said, right, you know what we'll do now? We'll send a couple of people away to learn how to do shit well. And Andrew went to South America, lived there for a couple of years, met his wife, Paula, brought her back. And they're living out in Baltra in West Sligo making coffee. Caro Coffee, for those of you who are interested, and we're doing something really interesting with them soon. We'll talk about it later. So that's the porter. What do you think of that, Robin?
It's delicious. I love how light it is, and the coffee notes really, really come through, and not in an artificial way. You know, it's like it tastes like super fresh. You know that kind of, if you're grinding coffee first thing in the morning, or you can smell it. You go to a good sort of coffee shop, you get that grind. That's the kind of flavour that you're getting. It doesn't feel artificial at all. It's fantastic.
Well, it's not artificial. And, and actually, there's a thing that we do with the coffee here. We don't grind it. So I'm giving away secrets now, but I get the coffee from Andrew, and then within 48 hours of it being roasted, and we actually wait 48 hours because you can watch the beans over the course of 1 to 2 days. You can see the oil starting to come out of the coffee as the coffee is gassing off. A lot of people don't know this. Coffee comes in green. It's like it's like a seed. It gets roasted. It has no flavor or aroma before it's roasted. But then once it's roasted, when it first comes off, it has a nice aroma, but it doesn't have that much aroma. But over the course of 24 to 48 hours, it starts to gas off, and all these oils start to come out. And then we put the coffee straight into the tank, on the beer at a cool temperature, and then slowly bring the temperature down over the course of a couple of days while sitting on those. So it's like a cold brew, uncrushed coffee. Yeah. And you get loads of aroma without all the extra astringency and acid from the inside of the bean. So you don't have that kind of bitterness from the coffee, but you get all the aroma. So that's that.
Beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
So it's like if White Hag did espresso martinis, this is what they do.
yeah.
The espresso martini's coming next
you
week.
You can keep that, lads.
Yeah. We'll do it so quickly that we'll actually be canning it on Tuesday, I think, the espresso martini. The oatmeal mint stout is out on Tuesday. Yeah. To the oyster. You want to get this down the neck, because we're going to have to let you go.
Right, I'm going to dress this now. So, another good tip is if you shook them like 10 minutes before, what happens is that they get brined and they go a little bit more firm. So, dressing mine now.
This is why you're on the show, man. This is exactly why you're here. Expertise like that.
It does. It kind of firms the oyster up in a nice way, and I learned that in Connemara.
So we haven't got all that.
Yeah, we don't have any fucking nori.
We don't have any of that nerdy wank that you were talking about that you've got in your cupboard. Your never-ending cupboard of grub.
Sorry.
But we're using the chopped shallots.
Chopped shallots. Does it go?
Oh.
Is mine loose?
That's really good. Oh, it's really good.
That's banging.
Get the sweat on.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's delicious.
Oh, that's great.
Really,
that's
really
great.
good.
That's great. Robin, we're going to have to split because apparently we're behind time. But thanks a million for joining us. I really hope
very
you
much.
enjoy the rest of the box.
Post your recipe somewhere. Post your recipe.
Send me on your recipe. WhatsApp it on or mail it on, and I'll to that, and I'll stick it up and I'll tag you on social just after this.
Perfect. I will 100%.
Legend.
All right. Good luck, lads.
Legend.
Thanks, man.
Keep watching. You'll see us taking a piss out of Ross later on.
Wouldn't miss that, Fred.
I'm going to grab a couple of paper towels.
Cool. You do that. Okay. Thanks a million to Robin Gill there. For those of you who know Robin, an Irishman doing really well in London, doing great things. Hopefully we'll see us doing stuff with Robin again. Next, we're moving on to Shane Kelly. Shane Kelly is the proprietor and co-owner of Dot Brew, one of the best stout and barrel-aged beer producers in the country. And I know Shane is doing something that a lot of us are doing, which is managing and balancing and juggling the old child-minding with careers. And so I think he's got a really short slot for this evening to join us. Is Shane with us? Shane's coming in. How are you, Shane?
How are you, folks? How you doing? How's Tricks, man?
Good and yourself?
Oh, good, yeah, not bad at all. Thanks for joining us. For putting it on.
No problem. Thanks for sending us this absolute belter of a pack. I'm going to get you right now to tell us how this happened. In a minute, but a chronological timeline of how this happened.
Chronological timeline, yeah, well, it would probably happen in about a minute. Yeah, so was that a Friday, half 6 on a Friday evening, getting a call about a frantic call about a Stout and Oyster Festival that we promised for months. And it's definitely going to happen. One eye on the door, dying to get out of the warehouse, and it was like, okay, what are we doing? So yeah, look, we had nothing packaged up. We had a few things in let's call it R&D, so bits and pieces that we were kind of messing around with, and nothing talks better quality than a purple skid mark in a brown paper bag.
We can look like the guys walking around the streets of DC.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
It's evoking memories of Brown Paper Bag Project. Yeah, no, it's a lovely idea. So you didn't tell me what you did. You just said it'll be a surprise, and we opened the boxes when they got there. And I opened them in the cold room, and I just broke around the place laughing. It's brilliant. I love that. I love that creativity. Sash necessity, right?
That's it. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So packing today was never quicker.
She put a paintbrush to it and everything.
Yeah. Purple skid mark.
Yeah. Skid mark. Yeah. That's the artistic flair. Yeah.
I like it.
Shane, I know you're tight on time, right? But we're going to get you to bring us straight into the beer. Where did the inspiration for this beer come from? And tell us a bit about it.
Yeah. So first off, on the label, it's kind of missing a key ingredient of yeast, but it is in there. So look,
sorry, Heineken doesn't need water, barley, hops.
Yeah. We're putting, I suppose, this month now is concentrating on putting down stock into barrel next year. And a part of that is we were going to do a little bit of let's go research and development, or pissing about, whatever way you want to call it. And it was kind of exploring a couple of different ingredients, and this is one that we've been kind of got a couple of iterations, a couple of different types of woods, a couple of different types of fruit, and then licorice was just one that people always get it from tasting notes from kind of big ballsy stouts. It's like, okay, well, what if you emphasize that out on a sweeter, kind of drier, sweet and dry? Is that a yeah, sweet and dry? Yeah, juxtaposition. There you go.
Is that
sweet and dry?
There it comes. Juxtaposition has been used all evening. Genuinely.
That's the third time, yeah. That's the third time.
Yeah, we should be playing craft beer bingo here. Stout bingo. People at home with just a sheet full of juxtaposition everywhere.
Yeah, just drink every time it's juxtaposition. That's it.
That's 4.
Yeah, so that's kind of it. We're kind of playing about a bit, and yeah, so it's most of that batch is actually gone to barrel. It was designed to go into some beautiful sherry butts. So again, trying to pull out a little bit more sweetness from the sherry, a bit of nuttiness. Then we always end up with a little bit left over, so kind of exploring what can go on there, and that's basically a byproduct. Yeah, and you added about 2 hours to my Friday night, so thanks for that, Bob.
That's phenomenal. I didn't think I was going to like this. Literally by saying licorice on the front, it's one of the flavors that I don't get when it's overpowering, but that's just phenomenally well balanced.
Yeah, I noticed that as a newcomer to the island. I say that 7 years here now, but licorice is pretty big in the US. It's also really, really big in the Netherlands, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge.
They love licorice over there, and like the stronger the better.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of licorice actually, and I think it works really, really well with the flavors of stout, especially a big granddaddy 10%er like this, you know.
That's funny you say about the naturally occurring licorice in the stouts, because it is something that happens, Shane, but it's never overpronounced. It's never something that you need to do or add specifically in. It just naturally occurs in imperial stouts, right?
Yeah, I think like Shane was talking about there earlier, where it is kind of a natural flavor in the bigger stouts. It's probably coming from the roasted barley, and when you start getting a certain level of roasted barley in there, you start getting those kind of licorice and treacly flavors. If you go too much, you start getting into the soy sauce aspect. So I don't have no. This one, that one, yeah.
That one, yeah.
Soy sauce is soy sauce is the flavor we're always trying to avoid, but I think licorice comes right before that, so it's cool to add it like this. Plus with the lactose, I think it gives it that kind of sweets off the shelf kind of character, but without being really. This isn't sweet itself, but no, it's good balance.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was either that or leather. So I think we went with licorice rather than leather. I think leather would have put or tobacco. Jesus, maybe, yeah. We'd have people drinking left, right, and centre with rakeloads of tobacco in the beer.
Yeah, we talked about doing tobacco.
You heard it here first.
It would be trickier. Yeah, it would have been tricky.
Yeah, you could achieve those flavors with some Brettanomyces strains, you know. So
yeah.
Yeah, better in your place than ours.
That's one for the collab. Oh, the collab's in yours today. Yeah. It's the first time out, yeah. No, that's great. That's really great. So is there a batch of this going into barrels?
So there's a batch, the base beer without the licorice. So we kind of played around with a couple of other bits and pieces. Peach was one, cherrywood was another at that. Just kind of seeing where they go and see if it's worthwhile scaling up. But yeah, so next year we'll have the base beer coming out of Pedro Jimenez sherry barrels. Yeah, so it should be an interesting one.
Brilliant.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Looking forward to it.
Well, look, Shane, that's amazing. I know you didn't get the oysters.
I did, yeah.
Oh, did you? Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Sorry. We're still on one. How do you like them? How do you taste them? How do you eat them?
I got accosted the second I walked in the door by my kids. basically, tying me down to shuck oysters in front of them before I got in. They're free range and part feral at this point. But
the kids are the
so yeah,
the kids.
The kids.
Because you've moved out to the country, you're right. You're out in the sticks.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, right?
Yeah, they just run free now. Yeah, but the oysters, I've never actually had oysters that were that meaty, that full.
Yeah,
they're amazing. Yeah, really amazing.
Yeah.
They're big.
And I'm an oyster heathen. It's just fresh and lemon for me.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You gonna do one? We're gonna throw one back.
Yeah. Damn right. Yeah. I've chucked one here.
Yeah.
So cheers, folks. A nice one for arranging it all as well.
Yeah, and look, thanks a million for joining us. It's been it's always brilliant to have you on board. I don't think we've done a festival together since we went off to the UK together one time to the Camera Festival.
The Camera Festival.
Yeah, the Camera Festival.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You were standing there, weren't you?
We were at it. Joe wasn't.
No, Joe hasn't been invited back.
No.
Weren't you standing there when I was getting thrown out, yeah?
No.
None of us.
I heard about it.
Invited back. Don't worry.
Oh, you were there before I got threw out anyway.
All right. We're not allowed to talk about that anymore. It's
Who's that guy? No, we're not with him.
Put on an English accent. Just start ditching him. No. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Boom, 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 boom.
Shane, thanks a million for joining us. I know you're on a tight schedule this evening. Thanks for getting the beer turned around, as ever. Amazing. One of the most innovative breweries in the country by a long shot. And keep doing what you're doing.
Brown envelope in the post. Cheers, man. Take it easy.
Thanks, man. Chat
Have a good
to you.
one.
Bye.
Yes, bye.
That one had a pearl in it.
Did it? An actual pearl?
Or a stone.
Oh, keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the toilet for the next couple of days. All right. We're going to move swiftly along to Tom Delaney in Galway Bay. Galway Bay, of course, renowned for phenomenal stouts. One of consistently the best stout producers in the country. And Tom Delaney obviously has a side project which concentrates on big, strong beers and barrel-aged beers. We'll bring Tom in, say hello, and hi from Galway. Have we got Tom?
And we have Tom. There he is.
Ah, Tom, how are you keeping?
Jeez, Tom, you look older than the last time I saw you.
Yeah, I've 2 kids now, so.
You getting grey in the beard and everything.
Yeah,
Look at that. Looking distinguished.
You had 2 kids in the last 10 months. Unbelievable. Beard starts to fall out.
That's impressive now.
2 kids under 2. So,
Oh, yeah.
Good fun.
Oh, man. Great crack. Great crack.
I'm just kidding, man.
Yeah. How's all in Galway?
Yeah, always good. Amazing sunsets. And pubs are going right up, so, happy days.
Yeah. It's been obviously a tricky time for you guys as well, but you're still churning out beers and you're obviously you're getting a bit of time to focus on the side project as well, right?
Yeah, I'd say no, the side project. It's like, pubs closed. A whole lot of canning, a whole lot of bottling. About 5 times the labour,
It's slow.
No water ballot.
Yeah. Has it allowed you to experiment at all? Have you been doing anything different because you're putting stuff out in cans? A bit more export?
Definitely, I guess I'm going to concentrate more on small packs. Mainly like a lot of keg beer, a lot of bars, kind of like, all right, your brew size is a certain size to kind of suit can, bottle, and keg, and the keg is gone. It's like, okay, we got all this beer, like we gotta do something with it. So, it's kind of let us reevaluate stuff. But, it's good for that.
And you guys have obviously got like somewhere anywhere between 11 and 13 pubs at any time, and that's been a huge part of your business. Draft has been. So I remember we talked a couple of weeks ago about the challenge of cans, and even just getting cans at the moment is a big problem.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're already through our second lot of 75,000 printed cans per SKU, and we can hold no more printed cans until maybe 2022. So,
2022.
Yeah. No, it's a big challenge. We've kind of all got it, and it's happened. It's kind of been slow coming, but it came out quite quickly from August on, right?
I think it's. You're talking about the can shortage. Yeah. It's a conspiracy, man.
It's a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy.
Bill Gates.
Heineken and AB InBev, they got together with Jeff Bezos and they bought off all the cans and so we're to destroy all these small people.
Yeah, no, it's been felt. It's been felt. Listen, the line's a bit crackly, but we're going to try and get you to bring us through the beer. You got the oysters, right?
Yeah, got the oysters there, so all good.
I'm suspecting that your brother came round and tried to help you with the oysters, because if I remember correctly, he stood at the edge of the shore in Strand Hill with a wheelbarrow of them up next to his mouth and just sucked on them for an hour the last time you guys were down.
Yeah. Chain smoking at the same time.
Okay, deadly. Bring us into the beer, so.
So this is beer, Stormy Port. I guess this beer, it existed before my time at Galway Bay. And I've had the pleasure of taking it under my wing as the head brewer. This used to be like our pub half when the brewery was at the pub in Salt Hill. We used to have the pleasure of having lunch in the bar every day. We'd always have a lunchtime half or two, and it was always Stormy Port. But then there was a Metalman Stout that had like a smoky thing going on that kind of turned my eye a bit. And I guess this has kind of evolved into a hybrid of that Metalman beer and Stormy Port now. So we kind of
I remember that beer.
The smoke malt, freaking it up every time we brew it, like once a year, sneaking a bit more in. It's just good pub beer, you know. No frills, just classic porter.
I like that addition of that beach smoked.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of beach smoked malt anyway, so like where that's coming through, playing with those chocolatey malts is really, really nice. For me, it makes it really Moorish, but you know, Americans are really into smoked meats and stuff like that. Like it's I've got my barrel smoker at home, all primed and ready to go for our Thanksgiving meal tomorrow, which we have to do on Saturday because I have to work on Thursdays. So I kind of wish I had a few more of these to go with my smoked turkey tomorrow. We
have a couple of extra actually. We have a couple of extra. Tom sent us up a case. Fair play to you, Tom. On top. So we have a couple of extra to go over the weekend. Yeah.
Basically, all Thomas Mawson malts apart from the beach smoke malt. So Maris Otter is the base, which is our kind of house base malt anyway. And then we've got a bit of Munich in there for kind of nice bready character. And then something we lean on quite a lot is like Thomas Mawson's pale chocolate versus the darker chocolate. We use a lot of pale chocolate in our dark beers, and then just kind of temperate darker chocolate. Then it's just frosted crystals and about 15-16% of the Wearman beach smoke malt. So 10% beach smoke the last time we brewed it, now it's 15. Maybe next time it's 20.
Yeah.
Next time you brewed it's going to be a Urbach by Schlenkerla.
Yeah. It's getting on that territory. It's really, really drinkable. Jesus, that's really drinkable. I haven't had that in. I haven't. I don't think I've ever had that actually on draft.
Yeah, well, it used to be more rain, and now we kind of bumped into a kind of a once a year brew. We're kind of bringing it back, alternating between Berry Sea and Stormy Port. It's just thanks to it, you know. Everyone wants IPAs, so here we are. You know.
Yeah, here you are. I like that. I love Maris Otter. It gives you that kind of like background biscuity note and stuff like.
That's so biscuity. It's like that coffee chocolate biscuit.
I wish we could afford to use Maris Otter in all our beers. I don't. I think Brian would have a heart attack.
Brian would either have a heart attack or an aneurysm if he had to pay for that all the time.
Just lie about it.
Tell him at the end of the year. Tell us, oysters. What do you do to your oyster, Tom? How do you eat your oysters? How do you eat yours?
Well, I've strayed a little bit from your recommended ingredients or toppings, so I've gone for similar to Tabasco, so I've got my favorite hot sauce, which is Crystal hot sauce from Louisiana.
That's a good one.
And then I've got a little drizzle of Knowles wildflower honey. Knowles big keeper in Lockray. So we're kind of we trade honey in both those, I guess, here. So we got
honey and hot sauce.
That's it.
Sweet and spicy.
That's it. You got the salty as well.
I'm with you on the Louisiana.
Tom, cheers.
Cheers, Tom.
Cheers, guys. That's it.
I'd take Louisiana over Tabasco any day. I know a lot of brewers are big Tabasco guys because supposedly it's barrel aged or whatever, but I think Louisiana, the flavor coming out of Louisiana is, I don't know, I just like it better.
Yeah. I remember Alex from Keeling was actually looking for Tabasco barrels, the aged whiskey, and I don't know if you found them or not, but
That could be interesting, all right.
I had an idea as a non-brewer, because it's easy to have those ideas without ever having to actually do it. Idea of getting what do you call it? The Italian. Of course, it's escaped me now. The Italian vinegar, the thick.
Balsamic,
like a balsamic barrel. Get a balsamic barrel and try and do a stout in it.
It's just full of acetobacter.
Yeah. Joe was like, nah, that's not going to happen.
If you're trying to make vinegar, it's great.
Another barrel of vinegar. Tom, we're going to skip on because we're, as always, running behind schedule. Firstly, thanks a million. It's been brilliant to have you as part of this, as part of the box. Always a pleasure to have you as part of the festival, any festival we do. And thanks for sending the beers up.
Cheers, Tom.
We'll talk to you.
Delicious.
Talk to you soon. Happy Christmas if we don't talk to you.
Thanks, man.
That's a great beer. That is a really drinkable porter.
I like that level of smoked malt.
There's a little.
Gives it that like rustic note.
Yeah, like an old.
Like old school, like
old.
Like it was.
Bottle.
Like it was. They had a wooden kettle.
Yeah.
And it nearly caught on fire when they were made it.
Caught on fire regularly, but just at the top.
Yeah.
So it just meant you could only brew a certain amount of beer every time, a receding amount of beer.
Yeah. Anybody who knows me knows I love smoked malts.
So the best beer ever in my head, once you rule out our own brewery, in my head has always been of Foam and Fury, and then 200 Fathoms. So once you take your own out of the equation, like unbelievable. Someone's looking for a box that I owe you from Bingo. Listen, that Bingo was run by the Blue Note. I was there as a guest. I had nothing to do with fulfillment of prizes. So if the Mal at the Blue Note or Aiden, they have a box. I've sent them loads of boxes. They have them there behind the counter. Nothing to do with me. It was only resting in my account. But the guys from Galway Bay just make unbelievable stouts and good at the IPAs as well.
Imagine that, somebody looking for a prize from a Bob giveaway.
It's called a Bob if you win a prize and you never receive it. Anyways, what I've started doing is actually creating voucher codes for the website and giving them out live. So you get the code, it's done. I don't have to worry about it on Monday when I come in.
Is that what I think it is?
Is that what you think it is? Next?
Yep.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Ladies and gentlemen, lock your children up.
Hide
close
your
your
kids,
ears.
hide your wife.
Hide your husband.
Hide your husband.
Live from Milan, somewhere in Milan, hopefully, it's Giampa Sangarini from Lambrata.
No Giampa?
Have we got Giampa?
Classic.
No sign of him.
Classic Giampa.
So this is exactly what we thought would happen. It also happened last time. We might bring Owen back in. Owen, how are you with the oysters? Yeah, Owen's going to come back in while we're trying to get Giampa through. I took my phone out to see if Giampa was texting me. Giampa generally does the opposite of what you try to get him to do.
I'm going to make space here.
I'm going to give him a text. I'll come around the end.
I'm going to clean a bit of this.
So Giampa was on the phone. For those of you who know Giampa, you've seen him a couple of times. You've met him here at the brewery. He's awful crack. He also has probably the best pastry stout we've ever tasted. This one you're about to taste, the tiramisu. There were 11 people who got left out tonight because the guys at Fine Ales had a bit of a malfunction with their couriers and they left us a case short. And so we had to basically pick 11 people and say, we can't send you any fine ales, we'll follow on with it in the next week or two, but we're sending you a second Imperial Stout, a Tiramisu Imperial Stout from Lambrada. It is unbelievable, and it is possibly one of the best, I don't know, the most complex set of flavours you'll taste in a beer ever. But you're gonna hopefully have Jampa joining us to taste that in a few minutes. What are we gonna do?
Well, would you like to
get the burner out?
Do you want it? Do you want to give it a try? Yeah.
May as well. We may as well. Yeah. No. Bring it out. Bring it out. Okay. So Owen landed this evening and said, "Well, do you mind if I cook a few oysters?" And I was like, "Don't mind at all. Yeah, here's the oven." And he was like, "Nah, never mind the oven. We've got something that's way more crack." So Owen's going to break out the burner, hopefully in the next few minutes. This is a very unique way of cooking oysters. I'm going to remove all paper and flammable stuff, get it out of your way. Do you want to keep the burner under the camera there so people at home can see it? So Owen also assures me that this is something that he does regularly.
I usually do it outside though, if I can.
Yeah. well, if you've seen our kettle going, you'll know we're used to the heat, and the fire alarm's not that sensitive. You ready to rock?
That's good, yeah. Oh, hold on a second now.
Necessary, always necessary. Yeah.
No.
Do you want to take? Yes. Okay. So the idea here is cooking oysters that.
Yeah. So usually, like, it's nice to do oysters on a barbecue or something, but it's a lot of work. Whereas this is a little camping stove that comes out of a briefcase.
Yeah.
And you can, like, I threw it in the back of the car and.
You guys use this out on the shore? You guys use it camping?
Yeah, well, I do from time to time.
Yeah.
Some of the lads look at me like I've got two heads, but sure.
Yeah.
But it's a great way of just cooking things real quick. The hardest part is not burning yourself on them, because you're trying to eat them as soon as they come off it.
Okay, because the shell's going to go.
Yeah, so the shell gets so hot, like that. You just have to give it a minute.
Get your own little grate there, like.
Yeah, so basically I just cut out a bit of mesh so that I could just sit them down. I actually made it, to be honest, I made it from my coffee pot.
Fancy.
Which wouldn't sit on it properly, so.
Yeah.
So what I've made is, it's a butter with brown sugar, chipotle chili, just a small bit, and then I have, drawing a blank, but there's brown sugar, butter, and a bit of garlic. And now, hold on.
Now you've done it.
Bob is going to help me by adding the important, arguably the most important ingredient,
the whiskey. So we've got Aharu, we've got the Anacuna single malt Irish whiskey.
Don't use too much because it's
tiny drop.
Yeah. Flammable.
Well, it's not just that, it's very nice whiskey, and it's not for cooking usually.
Yeah.
Of course, a bunch of you, I'd say about a third of you have the Anacuna as part of the collection we've sent from our friends in Hazelwood, who'll be joining us later on. Jesus, look at that. That is unbelievable.
Yeah. So
Robin Gill must be smacking his lips.
So the longer you can leave it on, the more the butter caramelizes. But you don't want to overcook the oyster at the same time. So it's
So
it's all touch and go.
It's sort of.
So the butter's caramelizing, the whiskey's.
The whiskey. No, that's the other thing. I might put in another little bit at the end.
Okay.
Because
I'll be ready.
give it
right before you eat it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to cool it off.
Exactly. Precisely, Joe. Yeah. So now.
So you think what? 2 to 3 minutes? Are we?
Yeah. Really, once it's bubbling, you're. I'm going to turn it off there. What I've done is, I've made up a little baking tray with some tin foil. Just crinkle up the tin foil so that when you put them down, they don't just tip over.
Nice.
Just tip
Clever.
over, so you can just hold on to it.
Yeah. Bit of whiskey on top now.
Just little dribble. That's
Oh.
it's nice and warm. So
Yeah. Joe, that's yours.
Oh yeah.
That is yours. We'll get Joe to.
I burn myself.
Yeah. If one person knows how to taste stuff.
Just hold on. You're gonna have to just be patient.
Yeah.
I don't want
It's gonna be hot.
I don't want the alcohol to flash off though.
Oh, true.
If you're at home and you haven't set up a burner at this stage, don't try now. Probably not a good idea. You see lads out the back with the gas cooker going,
no,
burning their hands on themselves. Is it grand?
No.
That's hot as fuck. Hot as
really hot.
A really hot thing.
Is that good? That good?
That's good. It's really good.
That's what I like to hear.
So butter,
brown sugar,
brown sugar,
some garlic.
Yeah.
And
of course garlic.
Plenty of whiskey.
Plenty of whiskey.
Brilliant.
And I've done several. I actually, it's a recipe I got from an oyster farm in their website, Hog Island Oysters, and they're over in California. They're big, but I just found that recipe, and over the years, every time I've done it, I think I've done it differently.
Yeah. But you iterate, right? You iterate and change all the time.
Yeah, and then you forget what you did that made it so good.
Yeah. So one of the things to point out is that the video you saw at the start, the intro video, was actually put together by Aisling Kelly, who has a cafe in Sligo called W.B. Yeats Cafe opposite Ulster Bank, right near the bridge. Now, a lot of you who've come to the festival or come down to Sligo or from Sligo will know the cafe and will know Aisling. Aisling is now doing an oyster tour, so you can go from the cafe out to the oyster farm and do a bit of a tour of the farm, do a tour of the shore, and you get to do all of the oyster tasting as part of that. And then when you go home, you can order the oysters from Owen.
Yeah, so it's really good actually, because I mean we do the online deliveries at oystersdirect.ie.
Yeah.
And we do plates and knives and all the accessories that.
Yeah.
And then Aisling, she's brilliant. She's
she's
a force of nature.
Force of nature, unbelievable.
So she does the tours that she does are brilliant.
Yeah, she's great crack, but also she is a brilliant. Careful now.
Down with that.
Careful now.
You guys got to get the overhead on this one. Get the overhead on. Watch this thing start to bubble there.
Oh yeah.
There it is. Look at that. There's the butter in there now.
This is just before the place just burns down.
Jesus, was there whiskey on that?
Just a splash, so.
Oh man, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like.
Okay, that recipe. Hey!
No, that's a barnacle.
That recipe's going up afterwards. That recipe is going up afterwards.
It's a very indulgent sort of a recipe. You know, it's not something that you'd. It's like I had the first time I did it was at Christmas, and you know, a lot of family around, and sort of, you know, those days like Stephen's Day or something like that, where everyone's just sitting around chatting, and come out with these, and nobody really wanted oysters, and then all of a sudden they were all gone. Well, you wouldn't. I personally, I wouldn't have them for my dinner. It'd be more of a. It's just lovely.
Yeah. No, it's a really nice treat. A really nice treat.
Have you ever tried it with a splash of lemon as well with the whiskey?
Do you know what, actually, now that you say it, earlier on when I was cooking, I was actually cooking a few for the lads at work.
Yeah.
And one of the guys, Antonio, he's a chef as well, he came over and he goes, have you tried this? And he cut off a little piece of lemon zest, just a little slice. He said, put it in between the oyster and the shell and cook it up.
Class.
Oh my God, it was... And I should have done it there.
There you go. Top tip. Lemon zest. We know that we got to keep moving because we've got a bunch more brewers ready to meet us. We're hopefully going to have Owen back at some stage. That was just unbelievable. We'll try and get that recipe out. Actually, we might try and get the recipe into a comment.
We have recipes on the website as well. So oystersdirect.ie, and we have a recipes page.
Oystersdirect.ie for sure. Thanks a million.
I'm definitely going to have the gout tomorrow.
Yeah. The gout's coming at me. I can feel it. Owen, brilliant. When are the black hoodies going on sale? We got the black hoodies because the supplier ran out of grey ones. But they're nice, aren't they? You like the black hoodies? We might try and get them on sale.
That was the money shot right there.
Yeah.
Little splash of lemon on that. Because you get the...
Really does it. He's also left us a bunch more oysters. That's just brilliant. All right, moving swiftly along, still with an Irish brewery. We don't have Jampa. With the Irish breweries, we're going to quickly jump to one of the original, if not the original, craft breweries in Ireland. It's Porterhouse. We've got Sean Burke joining us live from, I'm going to say Dublin, I'm going to say Glasnevin, Sean.
We're going to say, I would say aspirational Ballymun, but we're going to say Glasnevin as well, just to keep the postcodes okay. How are you going? It's big to see you.
Griffith Avenue, yeah.
We'll say Glasnevin Avenue. Street names are very important up here now. You've got to get them right.
It's amazing how that D4 accent goes all the way across and along Griffith Avenue, right? Creeps up through Drumcondra, takes a left.
What's that old saying? D4 say no more?
I hope you're not hearing any of it on mine anyway. Things will be. I know I've been here too long if you start hearing that.
You're so lucky you've staved off the D4 accent, Sean. I don't know how you've managed it. Unbelievable. How are you keeping, Sean?
We're okay, yeah. No, we're doing all right. Sure, look, there's no sob stories on a night like tonight. Look, sure, we're all right. I hope you're unwell too.
Sure, look it.
We're great. Sorry, I had to jump down and get the fresh glasses because there's no point breaking into another set of beers without fresh glasses. With thanks to Rastal from Germany for a fantastic set of glasses.
For taking our money.
Taking our money, giving us great glasses.
Thanks to Rastal for taking our money.
Sean, you've been busy. Obviously turning a lot of beer into bottles and cans, right?
I think, like everybody, I suppose, to be fair. I know that it's traditionally not what we're known for. But, interesting times, interesting decisions, I suppose. So, but we're delighted to... We were... Yep, no, sorry.
No, I was going to say the Morton Galway Bay, though. You guys have a brilliant bunch of estate, as in your own pubs and your own outlets to really drive draft. You guys have been front and centre in developing craft beer through a bunch of really big, really good pubs in the middle of Dublin, in New York, London, Elton Dunleary, and that's obviously a massive challenge for you now.
Oh, yeah, it's been. I think the Chinese proverb is "May you live in interesting times," or we're living in it now. It's been a challenge, but it's been a challenge for everybody. I mean, we have our pubs, but again, everybody, the majority of most people's brewer sales have gone through pubs as well. So we've been hurt twice over, maybe, but we're still in the same boat as everybody else. If you understand what I mean. We have some fantastic pubs, again, dotted around the world, as you say, and we've lots of wonderful people employed in there, and they've all been for the pub closures have been hard for everybody. They've been hard for us in the brewery, but they've been hard for everyone else in the group as well. And we are a very close-knit community as a company, so it's been very hard for people. But look, it's been hard for everyone. I mean, everyone who's been on and talking about all their wonderfuls and beautiful, even these amazing oysters that I've been trying, they should have been sold in bars and restaurants for the last couple of months. And we're all in the same boat here. And it's terrible, but it's great that we're all coming together to try and celebrate it too.
Exactly. So look, bring us into the beer. First and foremost, what is 4X?
Yes. So 4X. So I just I'll get my pint is that it's kind of slightly flat.
Besides a dirty
good,
video,
and I will resist the temptation. But yeah, so 4X is one of our older beers. As people may or may not know, we are one of the progenitors. We're one of the first of the craft beer breweries in Ireland, and that's down to obviously Oliver Hughes, Liam Lahart, and Peter Mosley. That's our beer there now, pointing away at it, lads. It looks pretty good.
Is that good?
It's we started out down in Bray, down in the Porterhouse in Bray in the. I'm going to get the dates all wrong, but in the late 1996 we started with Barnett. I know my stuff about the brewery. That's my thing. But in 1996 we started down on Parliament Street in the first brew pubs in Ireland, and Peter and Oliver and Liam, we wanted to get great beer out of the brewery. To be the first. We wanted to be the first brewery, the first pub in Ireland that when you walked into it didn't serve you Guinness. They wanted to say that. And the joke is that we've some veterans in Parliament Street. Let's just put it that way. We've some long-serving, fantastic bar staff there. And the joke is if they'd had €1 or a pound or €1, it's a pound even. If they had a pound for every euro they'd ever had in, if they'd euro for every time someone got Guinness from them, they'd be wealthy enough to stop their own bar.
Well, just for context, 1996, I was in my second year of secondary school, and I'm old as crap. So, porterhouse is definitely an OG in this country as far as craft brewing goes, and mad respect for the guys at porterhouse. Peter Mosley is one of my heroes. The guy is an incredible guy. I call him probably once a month, asking him questions about stuff. And most people look at me as an old guy in the industry. So, Peter, if you're watching, you're old as shit, dude.
He's a gentleman. He's an absolute gentleman to work for.
He's an absolute gentleman.
Yeah. And I will say that he would be conducting this tasting. Unfortunately, he had an unfortunate trip to the dentist. So I'm hoping he's not watching so I can get away with saying that. But he was told by his dentist. He's been told by his dentist, who's aware of his profession, that he was only going to get the necessary painkillers if he did not consume alcohol in the next couple of days. So I more than happily stepped into the breach to take this on. But I just want people, I want our viewers to realise that if it was a significantly painful dental procedure that stopped him from coming here today. Otherwise, he would be happy to be here and to talk to you all about it.
No, in fairness, of all the people, Joe was really looking forward to having Peter on, because Peter wasn't able to make it for your trip to Extravaganza when you were down. You were down yourself, and Peter hasn't been able to come to any of the events since, but we were delighted to have, obviously we're in the same stable with Grand Cru, and we do a lot of stuff with you guys. But we were looking forward to having him on. But again, look, in the future.
Peter wears two hats. He wears a brewer's hat and he wears a distiller's hat as well. I'm sure you're all aware that we also are Peter and I are the Dingle Distillery. So the Dingle Gin, Dingle Vodka, Dingle Whiskey as well. So he's a very busy man. But that's not that he would love to have been here tonight. He genuinely, I think he turned up to the door to drop off the beer and the oysters today. I thought he'd have an ice pack wrapped around with a bit of twine, sort of like the old-fashioned comics.
Ouch!
But he was no. It is a genuine, it's a genuine reason why he's not here. Otherwise, he would be delighted to be here. This is one of the first beers that he's brewed, and there's an interesting history about this beer. I know the time is short, and I've been waffling on, but I'd like to talk a little bit about it because it's closer to my part of the world as well. So 4X was originally called Rasslers, as I'm sure the more seasoned drinkers here might know. And It's an original, it's not necessarily a porterhouse original. We do pay homage to Rasslers Stout, which is an old-fashioned stout from West Cork, from Clonakilty. That was supposedly, I won't lay claim to knowing it for a fact, the favourite tipple of Michael Collins. You got to go down that part of the world, my part of the world. You got to mention his name. But it's an old-fashioned Irish dry stout. So this is a very robust, very dark malt, really malt-based beer. Our hop additions are traditional kind of British bittering hops. That's a nod to Peter's heritage in the British brewing industry. But it's a dark roast. Think of your dark chocolate, espresso, dark coffee, lingering toasted bitterness on it. This is like, we always say, this is the stout your grandfather used to back in Ireland. I love it. It's possibly not your first stout if you've never drunk stout before. we would say we have plain porter for that, and we're very happy to have a lovely porter stout as well. But this is the connoisseur stout. My job is like the quality assurance manager in the brewery, so which is like another word for whipping boy, basically. So when things go wrong, you tend to get a bit of the blame. I get when I turn up into the pubs and I start drinking, and the guys who know who I am start talking to me, it's always the 4X drink about if it's not all right. They are this beer, they love this beer, and if it's all my machinery and even my own taste buds can tell me it's fine, but I will be told if there's anything wrong about it as soon as I turn up in one of the pubs. No, I love it. I love the fact that these guys are so passionate, and I love the fact that they appreciate how good a beer it is. Now, oyster-wise, I will say I thought we had another stout that might be slightly more suitable to this, but I'd like to be talking about 4 beer I love. For oysters, for me, I love oysters. I would say I'm technically a mid-Cork guy, but I'm a West Cork guy. My family is from Clonakilty, which is funny, which is why I love this beer so much, because it's kind of a little bit of my back heritage. But oysters for me, not something I ate a lot growing up, but it was something that reminded me of going home to Clonakilty. You get a lot of seafood down there, not oysters the whole time. Phenomenal for seafood. But I think we have to, as a suggestion for oysters, which is a little bit weird. I'll confess I haven't been watching much of the stream. I will be watching the rest of it. But for these lovely oysters, these magnificent oysters that I've gotten, like I said, I was lucky enough to be at Hagstravaganza and to be down at the Oyster Farm as well, and to be just the plethora of oysters that were in, everything was fine. And the beautiful oyster stout that you guys had down on tap there as well was amazing. But for me, just as a little quirk, I think, maybe, hopefully, for an oyster is I'm going to have one of your beautiful oysters. I'm going to have it with a dash of Liam Perry's Worcestershire sauce. I don't know if that's something that someone has done before, and I don't know if it's good. Something that people recommend. But really good. Yeah. So my father, one of my fathers, he's from Clonmel and Tipperary, so it's not necessarily an oyster part of the world, a fish part. We won't hold that against you. But he has this thing where he puts Worcestershire sauce on everything, and I'm not necessarily how or why that came about, but I just thought it. I've actually done it, and I quite like it. So if you don't mind, I'm going to just dab a little bit of Worcestershire sauce on one of these lovely oysters. It's like soy sauce without the salt. Hopefully top it down. Well, the umami kind of texture. I mean, effectively, my understanding, this is like an ancient Roman table sauce or whatever, but it comes from anchovies. There's a lot of anchovies. So I mean, it's the umami, the fish side of it, I think is going to work pretty well. So hopefully, people aren't scrambling for the fridge or for the cupboard to try and get one, and I'll try and get it as well. And I hope that I shucked it properly. We'll see, So I'm going to have it now. And I'll happy to have another chat with you. Time is running out, but if not, ladies and gentlemen who are watching, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for having the Porterhouse on. Thank you so much for letting me talk about this beer, these beautiful oysters, and I wish you all a very good Christmas, a good New Year, and hopefully we'll all have a far better 2021 than we're having now.
Cheers, man. Thank you. I have to take your word for it because we don't have any Worcestershire sauce here, but
that's surprisingly better than I thought it was. Because to be honest with you, I haven't tried it before. So that's actually quite good. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, try that. You will not be disappointed. You won't give me a dirty look the next time you beer.
We don't have any here, but I could see how Worcestershire sauce would go well. Like
there's Joe every time. There's Joe every time you send him things.
The only reason I put Worcestershire sauce on was you murdered the pronunciation.
People from Clonakilty. People from Clonakilty are renowned for being able to say
we're big in our pronunciation. We're big in our pronunciation. Get away. Thank you so much for having us on. We're
you are from Bloody Mary.
I'll be watching the rest of it with my other cans of 4X here, and I'll be absolutely delighted. Good night now, everybody.
You're just breaking up a little bit there, Sean, but thanks a million for joining us. Obviously, leaders for years, pace setters, etc. in the craft beer industry in Ireland, and great beer on top of all that. Sean's a great character, and we had great crack on him here 2 years ago at Extravaganza. Thanks for joining, Sean. That's a great beer. It's a great stout.
You'll have to read that for me because I didn't put my contacts in.
Yeah. No, I've got the good eyesight. We did good. But last comment. Something about not drawing any blood. No. Sorry, my mic fell off.
When's the black hoodies going on sale? This one.
Yeah, I'm talking about your hoodie.
It's brown. These people are colorblind.
Excuse me. Someone was talking about they did really well, but they didn't draw any blood yet.
Yeah.
That was good.
You know
That's
what?
Nice.
Have you ever? Sorry, I'm talking off camera a little bit to everyone there.
We're talking to people all over the place here.
All over the place. I had this crazy idea once you did the whiskey thing. You know, tequila. Okay. Tequila and oysters, because...
Can you cut to one? He's talking to one now. Yeah. Randomly, he's just breaking out.
Yeah. We've got him here off the side there. He's making sure we don't ruin the oysters or whatever. But you could nearly... I'd say you could nearly make almost like a shot, because some people just shoot the oysters or whatever. If you had, because you already have the salt, right? Okay. Because of the salt water, and then instead of lemon, you do the lime, and then sprinkle a little tequila on that, and boom, away you go. Yeah. I want to try it now.
When I heard the Worcestershire sauce, it just reminded me of
Bloody Mary. Yeah.
Because we're back when the Flower was on in 2014 or 15.
14 and 15, yeah.
Glenn had the Oyster cart.
Yeah.
It was weddings and stuff like that with it, but we had it out at the Flower. It was great crack, but we had a little bottle of Bloody Mary made up, tomato juice and a bit of vodka and some Worcester sauce.
There it is.
Yeah. And so once if somebody was just in the mood for you, if you got any drink behind that, there, like, you know, if you're friends with them.
Yeah.
Well, sure,
Break it out.
This, I tell you, couldn't go too far wrong.
Brilliant.
Especially because the Flash starts pretty early in the day, after a pretty late night.
Starts the night before.
Yeah.
Bloody Mary's pretty nice for...
Oh yeah, big fan.
Getting the mind focused. Focusing the eyes.
So you're suggesting a little, maybe Bloody Mary on top of the...
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, dude, I could go for that. I could try that.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Bloody Marys.
I didn't bring the tomato juice. Or
the
But it's a great
vodka.
idea.
Or the celery.
We just had a comment there, a question asking you about the peel. What type of peel is used in the dark brew chocolate orange that doesn't make the stout more bitter?
Peel?
Yeah, so I think someone picked up on the orange peel comment earlier on versus orange flavouring.
Yeah, well, there's two types of orange peel that you use in brewing. There's sweet and there's bitter orange. I can never say the appropriate name for the bitter. It's like Caracal. Where are we at here? Caracal. It's a bitter orange peel. Yeah. So, but at the same time, we just use whole oranges.
Whole lot of them. A whole lot of oranges.
A whole.
Whole oranges.
Like, how do you say it? Which?
Cook.
Whole.
Cookavisa.
Whole.
Cookavisa.
We use whole oranges.
A whole lot of oranges.
So we basically take whole oranges and cut them into quarters and throw them into mesh bags and throw them in there. So you're using the whole orange.
I remember one morning, Brian texted me, well, he rang me in a panic going, oh, we're supposed to have the oranges here this morning for the brew. And I was like, all right. So I remember I went down to Total Produce in Finnislin. There's a particular type of orange. It's always on order for us. And ran in, and I was running out. I met a guy you went to school with who was kind of driving in. And I ran out in a panic with 2 big crates of oranges. Yeah. And you could see him going, what has that guy been at in the last 20 years that has resulted in him now panicking on a Tuesday morning, running out of a place with oranges, going, I have to get the oranges!
You've got to get them in a certain time.
Yeah, it's bizarre when you see some people and you wonder what they're at in their careers.
Yeah, but we use the whole oranges, cube them up, throw them in bags, so much the same as you would do like anybody that's ever had like a blood orange. pale ale or something like that, you should use the whole orange. That way you get the juice and everything. The key is to not overcut them so you're not exposing too much pith. So if you just cut them in half, that's usually good enough. Cut them in half and then you expose the zest, and then you're also exposing the, you're getting all the juice. And we keep it in mesh bags so the pulp and stuff stays in the bags. And loads of orange, lots and lots and lots. All these people that were selling food to restaurants forever, all of a sudden they realize there's a brewery in Ballymup buying food and they don't know why. And these guys running out with crates and crates of produce.
Moving swiftly along, right, we were back on track there for a while and then we just diverged into shite talk.
Right. What else do they got to do? It's lockdown.
Hey, look, it's Friday evening. The toy show isn't on for another hour and a half. Moving swiftly along, we have our next guest, a guest from Boxtravaganza, a friend of the brewery, and a stellar Englishman residing in Glasgow. We're bringing in Ian. Ian, are you there? Ian Smith from Fine Ales.
I didn't know we were friends with any
No
English
audio.
people.
No audio. Is that me or you? I'd say that's you, Ian, is it?
You're looking good, sounding like nothing.
I've no audio from Ian.
Can you hear us?
Oh, it's you, Ian. You gotta unmute yourself there.
Yeah. Fine Ales.
Nothing, not a dingy. Nothing for me in there, no? I think he's doing this on purpose. And I'll tell you why. I sent the videos. Did you not get the audio, no? We've had a bit of a standing joke with Ian over getting stuff off him for festivals.
Not only do we not have his audio, I don't think we have his beer.
We do, that's it there.
Oh.
That's the one. It's the Bunjel. For those of you sitting at home who are getting impatient and thirsty, this is the Fine Ales Hills and Mills. It's the Imperial Stout.
We're banging it.
It's supposed to be an absolute banger. I have never had it before. I'm actually going to give this one a new glass as well. You want a new glass?
Yeah.
Fresh glass. Fine are a phenomenal farmhouse brewery north, about 35-40 minutes north of Glasgow, but right out in the hills, right out in the sticks. And one of the most striking things about Fine Ale, when you Google them or when you visit their social, is the location. The location is phenomenal. Remember the first time we met them, actually?
Yeah.
Man. You walked over to me with your phone going, look at this.
They were telling me about because they came, actually, the first time I met them, I was approached and they were talking to me about Hack Extravaganza.
Yeah.
And they said, you got to check out our festival. And your man says, Google this. And I DuckDuckGo'd it because I don't use Google. And I came across their website, and it's got this overhead, kind of drone image of where they are.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
If you've got a spare screen, don't leave YouTube, obviously, or Facebook, or whichever one you're on. But look at Fine Ales and look at the location.
Yeah, search the Fine Ale Fest, and you can get all
It's Fine Fest. It's called Fine Fest.
Fine Fest.
And I think it's in early June. We were supposed to be there this year. We're supposed to be at it. They have a massive lineup of people, breweries and music and camping. It's definitely one for the camper van. Hello, Ian.
I hear some.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
I think you should bang them a few more times. Just bang them a couple more times.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's my bad.
That's all right. We were sitting here promoting your festival.
I heard a bit. Thank you.
Yeah.
Come to Fine Fest.
Go to Fine Fest.
You should. It's a good festival. Hello. Hi. Sorry.
Welcome.
Fine. Thanks for joining us, Ian. As ever, thanks for getting us the beer. There are 11 people. 11. You said that's actually very appropriate. The 11. You've seen that 11 gag. You know the video of the guys, the two Scottish guys in the lift, the voice activated lift, trying to say 11. So there are 11 people in Ireland who don't have your beer.
Racist.
And they're sucking on 2 Lambratas tonight, but they're getting it next week. They're getting
I wish I could say they were missing out, but you know.
I wish I could say they're getting it next week. I had to go to John Burroughs. Big shout out to John Burroughs in Sligo in the HSE, who's also craft beer alcoholic. I had to go to John Burroughs this evening when I realised that I didn't have a bottle of the beer left, and I had to swap him out a beer and say I'm going to get him one of your beers next week because we didn't have one for tasting. Here we are. It's all cool. It's all cool. It's Friday evening.
The extra one's not arrived then. We've nailed this.
We've nailed it. Tell us, look, bring us straight into the beer. Mills and Hills is one of the best names I've ever heard for collaboration. Bring us through it.
Yeah, so Mills and Hills first brewed in 2015. It's a collab with Brouwer de Molen from the Netherlands. This was the beer that we brewed to mark the commissioning of our new brewery. So we put a 40-barrel kit in 2015, and this was the first collab we did on the new kit. It was it was basically a test to see how big we could push it. Until 2015, this was the strongest beer that Fine Ale had ever brewed. And of course, de Molen went, how big can we go? You know, you've got this new shiny stainless steel heaven. Let's test it. And that's where Mills and Hills came from. And the name, obviously, we're a farm brewery in a valley in Scotland, in a glen in Scotland, and they've got a windmill, so that's where it comes from. We're the hills, and they're the mills, and we've been brewing it for 5 years now. This is a good old school Russian Imperial Stout that predates all your pastry nonsense, and it's pretty tasty. It stacks up well for a 5-year-old beer, I think.
Yeah, when you say your pastry nonsense, you're talking about my pastry nonsense or the proverbial pastry nonsense?
Oh, the proverbial, of course.
I'm a big fan of the classic styles. This is definitely banging on all cylinders as far as the old Russian Imperials go.
We've done a Black Forest version, we've done a coffee version. Like we've played around with it and stuff, but the base recipe really holds up still. It's a great beer.
And this is year round for you guys. You guys are able to. It goes that way for you. You can keep it going even midsummer. Obviously, midsummer in Scotland's not the same as midsummer in the Canary Islands, but
it's a year round.
All year.
Yeah, pretty much. We had a little bit of a stock out for the last couple of months. Actually, this is a new batch that just went on sale a few weeks ago, but that's purely down to demand and e-commerce going nuts with the small pack stuff. So it's one of our kind of core beers now, and it's kind of crazy to think we have a 10.5% Imperial Stout as a core beer when we're mostly known for hoppy pale beers. But it's a good beer, so it works.
No, it's incredible. You're probably familiar with the Black Boar as well, and somehow it manages to go year round. We kind of hold the brakes on it a little bit, make it a little bit inaccessible at certain times of the year, just to keep the mystique going with it. But it's all about choice, isn't it? Yeah, and at the same time, this does not drink like it's 10.5?
No, it does not. No.
Yeah, it's not super heavy.
No.
No, and it's not boozy. Like that's the other thing is when you start getting to that 8% level, and then you start going up without excessive aging. The alcohol can be a bit predominant. I like a little bit of the alcohol character that's coming through. It gives it like a little bit of a sweetness, but I detect that's the alcohol that I'm detecting as a sweetness. It gives it like a fruitiness.
Yeah, it's like a raisiny, treacly kind of fruitiness. What would Ian recommend get a cask ale taste as a home brewer? I'm going to interpret that again and say, how would Ian recommend to get a cask ale taste as a home brewer?
I'll admit now that I'm not one of the brewers, unfortunately. We keep it simple. Like that's the main thing. Like we're known for our hoppy pale beers, and they're all pretty simple. It's pale malt, it's wheat, it's simple hop bill. We do have a hop back, which is a good advantage using whole cone for cask beers. But yeah, just keep it simple and let the yeast do the work. We've had homebrewers come up to our brewery and be like, "Oh, can we grab some of your house yeast?" And we're very happy to share it. So if you've got a brewery near you who do really good cask beer, get in touch with them and see if they'll share some yeast with you and see what you can do with it.
Really, you share your house east, yeah?
Oh, with homebrewers, yeah. It's just it's one of those things, you know. It's a nice thing to do for the homebrewing community in our local area, or even down to Glasgow.
I can see Joe. Joe is squirming under the big cap there. He's like,
no, we share yeast with homebrewers all the time.
Yeah, it's.
They have to show up. They have to show up with clean stuff. And,
it's gotta be clean. Gotta be clean. Tell me, did you get the oysters?
I've got oysters here in front of me.
And do you like oysters? Owen's standing here now, remember? He's standing right here, and he's huge.
So oysters.
He's a big man.
Oysters are not something that I kind of go to. I like them, but I have to be in the right kind of mood for them. And we have very, very good oysters up on the west coast of Scotland, as you may or may not know. You know, Lochfine Oysters is a very famous oyster farm restaurant next door to our brewery. And we do collabs, and all the time we take people around there to have oysters when we're doing collabs. And they're like, "Oh, you having one?" And I'm like, "Not today." But no, it's I did try some shucking earlier. I tried one fresh earlier, and I've actually cooked some up since I've got them. There's an oyster. So I've cooked some up with some garlic butter and some hot sauce, and I'm going to try a cooked oyster because I've never actually had them cooked. So there you go.
No, they're actually really, really nice.
I'm going to chance another one with the shallots and vinegar. Are you going to chance one?
Well, I better slow down on the oysters. I won't be able to walk tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try this with you. He's gone down the hatch with it, has he?
I'm sorry, I'm gone already.
He's gone.
All right.
Yeah. There's 2 things I'm not supposed to consume. Well, 3 things. My doctor said beer, beef, and seafood because I have the gout. Thank you, Dad. Thanks, Dad.
That's genetics, yeah?
It's genetics, yeah. So I had to choose either beer or beef. And obviously, because I'm a brewer, I had to give up beef. And then oysters are like even higher on the list than beef for triggering gout.
Living on the west coast of Ireland, of course,
things I shouldn't eat, yeah. It's a genetic thing. I've been really good. I haven't had an issue for like over a year. But if I go overboard, it can.
And it's Thanksgiving weekend as well.
It is.
Happy Thanksgiving to Joe. We didn't say this.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We did a cryptic post yesterday. Not that cryptic. It's Thanksgiving. Many thanks. You know, as a picture of our fermenters.
Yeah.
I think you sent us a card that's saying that once. You're reusing jokes.
Thanksgiving is.
It's the same joke, but basically with 3 jokes. We've three jokes. We come up with a new one for Christmas actually, which is a gift. It's a gift option of a box of beer for your nearest and beerest. Do you like that? Nearest and beerest.
You'll see ours. You'll see ours soon. It's Christmas time, mistletoe and fine.
Oh,
yeah.
Year 7 using that one. That one was predated.
I'm not a big pun person.
All right, Ian, we're going to have to get out of here. Because we're obviously always running behind.
Always.
But
thanks for sending the beer.
Yeah, thanks for sending the beer.
Eventually.
Some of the beer. One day we're going to get all the beer from Fine Ales. One of these days we're like you said, order twice as much, right, as you need. But we will get you back. Hopefully, Fine Ales up in the valley next year.
Yeah, we'll see you at Finefest, man.
We'll bring a camper van full of people.
I'll be honest with you.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks for being part of it.
See you, man.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
That guy's really tempting, though, isn't he? Look at it. Look at the size of that.
Look at that for an oyster.
Where's that?
Look at that.
Can we get an overhead there real quick?
Look at the size of that boy. Some of these oysters are the full of the shell.
Look at that. Look at the size of that thing. It's all meat. There's more meat than shell there.
You can't eat that, can you?
I'm probably going to.
Yeah. Shouldn't, but you will.
Should not.
But you will. Are we as part of it? Seriously though, oysters and Nando's peri is a revelation.
Yeah.
Someone's obviously.
That's the Bloody Mary. That's the Bloody Mary mix, isn't it? Nando's.
Yeah. Someone else said.
Oh no! That's peri-peri's like an Indian Indian spice.
Yeah. Is it Indian?
Like chicken. They make chicken with peri-peri stuff. This goes back to the beginning of the conversation where I said I don't mess around with food.
No, and here we are. I got here late. Has Bob told us what conditioner he uses? No, but you can ask my wife.
Conditioner.
Whatever one's in the shower.
Conditioner.
Yeah. This is now 8 months. What is it? November, end of November 27th?
He's doing a lockdown hairdo. I told him.
Locked-in hairdo.
He's one step away from a surfboard rack on his car.
I'm like Tom Hanks in a brewery instead of an airport, because I've only been here for the last 8 months, and this is 8 months. This is what 8 months of hair looks like.
Yeah.
Just sit right here.
I've still shaved my beard.
Yeah.
Or trimmed.
And your head. Yeah. Take the whole lot off. We're jumping next. We're going to a good friend and a stalwart of the Irish food industry. One of probably a handful of people in the country who have a Michelin star, but also an acerbic tongue. He's a good friend of the brewery. It's Ross Lewis. Ross, are you coming in there? We don't have Ross. We don't have the audio there, Ross. You're on the mute.
Welcome to the year 2020.
We don't have Ross, do we? We have Ross. We have you, but we don't have you on audio, Ross. That looks like a nice sitting room, actually.
What are we having with Ross?
What we're drinking with Ross is the Black Boar. Actually, the Black Boar.
Ooh,
oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Got some big bangers.
Mm.
You want to try any of these?
How you doing, lads?
Get a glass. How are you, Ross?
Ross, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Jeez, I'm in the best of form.
You are. You look like you're in great form.
I've been eating oysters and drinking beer for the last hour or so, and I can tell you.
Yeah, it catches up with you.
Great shape.
It has you in great shape. You look great. You've got Steve Jobs jumping around there.
Own. This is a very informal thing.
If I only had his bank balance.
What you don't have is his health, and you do look great. I haven't seen you in ages. I haven't seen you in ages, but you've been keeping busy. You've been popping up on the internet doing events, doing some tastings, doing stuff with the lads.
A few bits and pieces, yeah.
Keeping busy.
Mainly running around after 4 women that I happen to live with. So I'm kind of the lowest in the pecking order. I'm actually have been I feel like an oyster shucker, actually. That's what I feel.
Hopefully you have 4 bathrooms or 5 bathrooms. You need 5.
That's where the trouble starts.
If you have 4 women in the house, you need 5 bathrooms. That's
I have to say to you though, none of them has a mane as beautiful and as full, as shining as Bob.
It's come along, hasn't it? It's come along nicely.
Calm down there. I don't want his head to explode all over me here.
The rare time I get into town now, you get lads passing you out in the footpath and then looking back in disgust.
He's getting
Jesus, it's a fella.
He's getting hollered at. You should see his hair bonnet he's wearing.
Not only that, it's an ugly fella.
Especially in that lycra, Bob.
Yeah.
He's lucky he's not blonde.
You know it.
I love it. I like it anyway, Bob. I like it.
I'm glad you brought it up. You're just retaliating, getting your offence in first.
Listen, look at you guys with your full heads of hair talking about the hair.
Ross Lewis is not, I'm going to tell you, scarce in hair.
Nah, you guys are a bunch of baldists.
Here's the thing.
I'm okay so far.
We're talking about D4 accents, but you're originally from Cork.
Yeah, I'm Cork, born and bred from Bishopstown. So grew up there on the Waterfall Road and actually went to UCC and studied dairy science, would you believe? So
dairy
that's kind
science.
of where I bounced off, yeah.
Dairy science was probably something that Curry Foods developed locally as a skill or as a competency that was required?
It was basically aimed at the big dairy industry. So then it was like milk, dried milk, all the big commodity cheeses, and so on and so forth, So in actual fact, it's funny because it gave me a great understanding of the technology and processing and the science behind processing, which really reversed into food around the time of Spanish food revolution. So Ferran Adrià, molecular gastronomy, it was bringing that kind of technology into food. So fortunately for me, I didn't love dairy science. I did love cooking, but it was a wonderful kind of when science reversed into cooking. So I kind of had a first-hand understanding of what they were doing and what was going on. So that was great, yeah.
Jesus, I did not know that. I never knew that. And all the times I've stood in the corner of the kitchen shouting at you and eating your food. And so, obviously, Chapter 1 has been synonymous with Michelin star food, brilliant food, and innovation for the last, is it 20 years?
28 years, actually, yeah.
28 years.
28 years, yeah. A long old trail.
And you started that when you were 10.
I don't know if you're going to make it on the comedy circuit, Bob.
All the lines. We'll still sell shit, though. We'll still sell shit.
He thinks he's a comedian anyway.
As they say in Cork, stop.
No, in fairness, you have another 28 left in you, right?
Hardly, Bob, but thanks for the encouragement.
No, it's we were getting. I don't know if you've seen earlier on. We had Robin Gill on, and obviously we've gotten to know Robin through you and through the restaurant and through the event that happens every year. And
that's right, yeah.
Yeah, we were just kind of, I suppose, commiserating each other over the fact that the event didn't happen this year, and it's a real kind of a tentpole event in the calendar, even though it's something that happens quite quietly. It's packed and it turns into a raucous bit of fun of a Sunday. Didn't happen this year, but it's kind of amazing how the amount of people we've met through you guys and the restaurant, and also the fact that you guys are serving craft beer and have been doing that for a long time. Not like most Michelin star restaurants. Yourself and JP McMahon would be a kind of exceptions in that sense.
Well, I mean, for us, it's about seeking partners, at every angle that have the similar type of ethos and passion and understanding of what they do in their craft. So, I mean, that, is food people, food producers, small and medium food producers. It's brewers such as yourselves, people who make great spirits, gins, whiskies, Irish whiskies. And also we carry it, we have an art project where we would commission an artist, an up-and-coming artist, and give them a fee for a piece of work that would go on the front of our menu, which goes in a kind of, it goes opposite our reception. So we kind of, close the circle between the art, food, the artist, and the customer, Irish craft people who make wonderful things for our tables. Emmett Kane actually just kind of selected today, I think by the Arts Council in a very prestigious competition for a centerpiece that he made for our tables. It was an ebonized black bog oak little tulip with a gold leaf interior, and it's really beautiful. So, we try to connect with everybody. So it's about an ethos right throughout, from the time you ring up to whoever you deal with, to what you see in the restaurant, the craftspeople to make it, the artists, the food suppliers, and the drink purveyors. So, and well done to you guys in White Hag, because, like yourselves, you're passionate about quality, diversity, and chasing that premium product and pushing the envelope. It's not always the most commercial route to take. It's much easier to sit back and sort of make hundreds of thousands of litres of Pilsner, so on and so forth, for the mass market. But, that's not, I think, going to give you guys any satisfaction, and that's not certainly the route I chose. And we'll never be driving Ferraris, but at the same time, there's tremendous satisfaction, I think, of what we do.
You're right. We don't drive Ferraris.
But you can have an electric bicycle, Bob, if you want.
Yeah. You know this.
We've already got two guys with electric bicycles.
Yeah. If you're talking to anyone about electric bikes, it's going to be the Americans here.
I heard they've invented the electric surfboard down there in Sligo.
All they need now is the electric helicopter to rescue people off the coast, because there's still people surfing in this weather. One of the things that has struck me is that Stan and Eric, your head chef and pastry chef are really into their beer, really into our beer, and I have often sporadically dropped in of an evening and just dropped them some cans of the latest beers. They've done brilliant stuff over the lockdown on Instagram, doing recipes, both of them separately, and that's been brilliant for you guys. It's been brilliant for the restaurant because it just shows that it doesn't just sit on your shoulders. These guys innovate on their own. They bring a lot of passion to their profession, but in their personal life, and they did that constantly through the lockdown, and it was brilliant. It was just brilliant to watch on YouTube or on Instagram. Did a great job on it.
I mean, look, obviously, you know, social media is a huge medium now for people to express themselves, which is great. And you know, I mean, the thing is that I think it's about sort of empowering people, challenging people, teaching them, and you know, you get the best out of them then, you know, obviously, you know, respect people and you let them grow individually as professionals, and, you know, you get some wonderful things, you know, wonderful results, which is fantastic.
Okay, well, look, I'm going to ask you two things. The stout, give us your feedback on it, because I don't think you've had our Imperial Stout before. And also, how do you eat oysters?
Yeah, I've tried the oysters. They're just shucked 6 or 7. I wouldn't mind, but then the missus had a fish pie for dinner before I came on air. I was like, oh jeez, fish pie, and now we're going into the oysters. Things I do for you, Bob. Things I do for you.
I blame the wife.
I blame the wife.
So okay, what's interesting is, you know, I've tasted 3 or 4 oysters at this stage, and you'll notice that some of them are a little bit creamy. They're a little bit milkier in colour, but essentially these oysters are incredibly fresh. There's no getting away from that. That's the first thing that you notice when you open them, and you almost get that salt, that sea air straight out of them. It's quite incredible. I'd suggest they probably came out of the sea, you know, late yesterday. So that's great.
Actually, I'm just going to ask Owen, just to interrupt you. When did these oysters get plucked out of the sea? Last week?
They were taken out on, well, the ones that were packed up on Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning.
Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning.
So they came out of the sea on possibly Friday evening.
Friday,
But they go into tanks for purification, so they get...
so they're still in water until Monday.
Yeah, exactly, so it just runs through a UV.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
3 or 4 days.
And I mean, I just think that, you know, when you eat one, you know, you get this beautiful kind of sweet, briny, salty flavour, and an underpin of kind of strong minerality. And when you chew on the oyster, particularly the creamy ones, you get richness, and you get you know, a real burst of sweetness and umami. And so, you know, it's a wonderful oyster. So congratulations to the oyster farmers. These are rock oysters, and you know, they're particularly good, I guess, with Guinness. They're a little bit more robust flavour. The native oyster is really delicate, and it's kind of a lot sweeter, and probably just best drunk with, you know, a real good kind of chablis or something like that. Because, you know, hey, you know, at the end of the day, I am a chef, and I'm a bit of a wine snob. But the rock oysters we have here today are very suitable to drink with Guinness. And you know, like, the thing about oysters and Guinness, it's synonymous with Ireland, and you know, at the end of the day, it's the paddy macho posturing type of thing going on. I'm all for that.
You are all for that. You are, in fairness.
So the milk, the Imperial milk stout. I mean, the first thing is that, you know, when you put it to your nose, I mean, you're getting, you know, you do get that kind of licorice, caramel. You know, you get that sense of kind of there's something a little bit sweet on your nose as well. It's very complex and,
Yeah.
sort of dried raisin, dried fruit type thing, which is, stunning. It's absolutely amazing. And when you stick your nose into it, you just think that there's something really complex coming. It's really, really fantastic, which I'll tell you a great story about afterwards. When you're drinking it,
This is going to be good. I can tell.
It's going to be really bad.
You just get everything that's on the nose. You get in the palate, and you don't actually get that with wine, because we all drink wines and you go, oh my god, the palate is peach and lychee and aroma, and then you drink it and it's kind of, a thin version of that, acidity or the acidic and this, that, and the other. But I mean, you get everything there. It's a full mouth. The length is just extreme. So, I mean, when I had the oyster, which I'm going to have now again, goes up.
Yeah.
Incredible, salty, saline, and then you eat the oyster. It's sweet and it's creamy. There's umami, and
They're
then
very creamy.
afterwards you take the milk stout on your palate, swirl it around, let it go down, and what you find actually, you get an aftertaste and a reflux of that, the minerality and brininess. And that's because the reaction between the milk stout and the oyster in your mouth, you're getting, a second flush. For me, it accentuates the brininess, the minerality, and somewhat the saltiness. So there you go now, Bob.
Jesus Christ, Ross. We should A, have you on for a whole show, and B, we should get you writing our labels.
I was going to say, how much would that cost? How much did that cost us to have him say all that?
And the worst part of that, the most annoying part of that is that he had none of that prepared. None of it prepared. That's all from the hip. All from the tongue. All from the tongue.
Well, it's actually really good.
That's a great description.
I ate the oyster with him there, and I agreed. You were talking about the length of the beer. We actually, the Black Boar is actually brewed over the course of 2 days. One batch takes 2 days to brew. We do, when you total it out, it's a 4-hour boil. So we're just caramelizing those barley sugars and the malts, you know what I mean? So we're just caramelizing. It's a 4-hour boil. Yeah. And that's what creates a lot of the complexity when you're just, we're essentially making caramel. When you take a concentrated sugar solution, but in this case, the sugar solution is a barley malt. And a lot of those barley malts are roasted and caramelized barley malts, and then we're re-caramelizing them over the course of 4 hours with an LPG gas burner. So that creates, we have 100 different malts to choose from, of all different colors, of all different processes. There's only one way to produce this flavor, and that's just boil the shit out of it. So that we boil it for hours and hours and hours. And then I have found that really gives that kind of lingering, almost like, like when you eat a really nice chocolate, and if you just let it dissolve in your mouth and just kind of fades, and it fades and fades and fades and fades and fades. Yeah. So that's what we're going for there.
Yeah, I mean it's a really interesting process. It's an absolutely world-class product in terms of how it's made, the quality. I mean, look, it's something that you would drink with food. I probably wouldn't think you'd sit down and drink 4 pints of that watching the Late Toy Show.
No, you only use it when you're warming up for the toy show.
Disastrous result. If not then, certainly the next day. But it's an amazing product. Congratulations, it's incredible. You know what I find interesting, actually? There's a very interesting combination between the licorice and the hops and the malts. The licorice and hops maybe even more so. I'm not a huge fan of overly hopped beer because I don't know why, but I'm just a bitter thing. Just it's not my palate. But I really think there's a very interesting combination between that. I get that licorice sweetness and the hops, because you've got that licorice is really kind of taking it way left field, and then you've got the the bitterness of the hops, and then the sweetness of the malt, and I think that's so interesting.
Yeah. No, it's in fairness, the complexity is something that obviously we've worked on Joe's worked on for years, because Joe arrived here and made that beer straight off the bat in the first 3 months.
It was our 6th batch.
But the 6th brew ever.
6th brew, yeah.
And it was one of the first 7. We appeared at the RDS with 7 beers, and that was the 6th brew. So it was something that Joe had worked on. I remember Joe came over here in November 2013 and had a bottle of that, and it was just like stellar. You could tell, and you weren't even happy with the packaging, but the product was just phenomenal. And that's something that we've grown on. That kind of ethos of saying, right, let's make a massive, big, bold beer, and from there you can make all the other beers, but make your name up here on the basis of doing something of that standard.
And in Ireland, stout, like the biggest stout you can make.
Yeah.
This was when we launched the Black Boar in 2014 at 10.2%. There was no other stout in this country being produced at that level.
Yeah.
And it trended on Twitter that weekend.
Yeah, it got off. But it's also encouraged people to go there. And
I like to think so.
Horizons. Yeah, it's broadened horizons. Yeah. Ross, this has been phenomenal, and we could do this. We could literally get back into beer all night.
We could sit here and blow our horns.
Yeah. But
all night.
But the comments on YouTube have been literally waxing lyrical about you, waxing lyrical about craft beer. It means a lot. It means a lot now for you to get involved tonight, and also have our beer listed in your restaurant all the time, and especially have us in for events. It's been brilliant. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Listen, continued success in the future. I think you're onto something. Keep going.
So are you. You're definitely doing something right. Keep going and you'll be successful yet.
Appreciate the feedback.
Stick it to the man. He's some crack. He is some crack. That is phenomenal, right? So I know he may not mean as much to you as say me, but he's been a leading light in Irish food for 30 years. I was like 20 years, because he does come across like a young fella. And any time you go to the restaurant, he just literally pulls you out, introduces you to people, brings you into the kitchen, brings you out and brings out the chefs or whatever, gives you whatever's going, puts out food in front of you. Like, it's just a phenomenally brilliant hospitality figure. But to have him kind of bringing craft beer to a different level, that wine level he talked about, and I thought that was brilliant the way he said, wine, people go blah about wine, but actually this has way more depth. Like, that's getting people on board.
No, that's great. Yeah, it's great to hear.
Yeah. Great character, Ross Lewis. People may not have met him before or seen him doing stuff like this, but phenomenal character.
What's this say here?
Are you finished the Black Boar? You wake up and it's Tuesday, lol. Someone started early. We're going to move swiftly along. Next on the bill, live from the south of Wales, we have Gareth.
Gareth Williams. Yeah, hi guys. How you doing?
Hey guys, what's the crack? How are you keeping?
Yeah, good. Yeah, just to let you know, I've got a Ferrari parked on my driveway, so I'm not sure what you're doing wrong, but yeah.
You don't have a Ferrari.
We're obviously all over the commercials, right? If
you had a Ferrari, you'd be live streaming in front of that Ferrari right now.
No, I've got a Golf, but one day bothers, yeah.
All going well.
How's things, guys?
Things are going good, guys.
It's not even a GTI Golf, is it?
Is it a GTI?
It is a GTI.
Is it a GTI? It is.
It is a GTI, yeah.
If I was you, I'd be live streaming in front of my Golf GTI right now. But that's just me.
It's all good, guys. Yeah.
Gaz, thanks a million for joining us from the south of Wales. I love that. I love the fact that you've divided Wales in two on your address and sent you the south of Wales.
What does that mean?
What's the crack with that?
South of Wales.
Is that like the Republic of Wales?
Well, I'm deep in the Welsh valleys as well, so it's kind of like, that's a little bit different as well. So it's like, a little bit the back and beyond where I am right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but obviously it's beautiful. We've been there. I've been there several times, getting the boat across from Rosslare to Pembroke or Fishguard, and wandering through the south of Wales, making my way to Cardiff for the rugby, or to. Owen's coming in for a drop. Cardiff for the rugby, or Glastonbury, or another trip. We always go in through the south of Wales.
I don't want to talk about the rugby tonight, though.
No. That's not what's going to happen. Guys, did you get the oysters? Did you get the oysters?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I'm currently with my girlfriend and my 3 daughters as well, and we're about 2/3 of the way through. So thank you very much. They're awesome. Yeah, brilliant.
Well, we'll get you to open on the oysters and then bring us in to Stay Puffed.
Yeah.
How do you eat oysters?
So what? Right. Right. Okay. So I made this like a chili, ginger, and sesame oil kind of dressing. Awesome. Absolutely lovely. Ginger, sesame oil.
Ginger, sesame oil, and chili.
Toasted sesame?
It's like a bit of a Chinese sort of dressing. I googled it, I won't lie. I'm not really an oyster connoisseur.
That's what he does with the brews.
Yeah, that's what I do with the brews every time.
It's the first thing that came up on BBC Good Food website, so it works. It's
nice. They've nailed their search. They have nailed their search optimization. Yeah. Every recipe, every time you put in 4 ingredients, BBC, and I'm like, the Brits are trying to feed this to us. They're trying to feed us again.
Google.ie/Tiny Rebel Stay Puffed clone. All right, guys, this is what we're brewing.
This is what we're brewing. We're brewing Stay Puffed. So look, so as long as we've been around, we've been fairly well known for stouts, right? I've met a variety of your crew at different events over the years, but we've never actually had you guys at an event, so it's brilliant to have you here virtually. Tell us about Stay Puffed, and where did that come from?
Well, hold on, if I could just back that up, right? You can hear me all right, yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
WTF is a marshmallow porter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just start there. What is a marshmallow porter? And then go from there.
Well, the marshmallow bit, I mean, I think where this kind of came from, we've always been really interested in stouts, but I mean, being in kind of South Wales, dark beers always really, really struggled to sell. And we used to have our first ever stout that we made was a smoked oat stout, and I think we called it Dirty Stop Out. And we used a lot of. You were talking earlier about the Beechwood smoked malt and how much you liked it, and it's one of my favourite malts that we could use. But unfortunately, kind of in the UK, it's like a Marmite malt, and most people kind of hate it. And it's I personally love it. I love those smoked beers. And we used to make this stout, this Dirty Stop Out, and it was great. It won Champion Beer of Wales in its kind of first year. But kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of, if it's not Guinness in the UK, it kind of struggles a little bit. So we thought we need to kind of mix this up a little bit and kind of put a bit of a spin on it. And I'm a big fan of all the 80s kind of movies, 90s movies and stuff like that. And we were thinking, what can we do? We thought we'd try and make a porter, but kind of put a little bit of a spin on it. And obviously the marshmallow thing came up because it suited kind of the lactose and the vanilla that we use within the beer. And then obviously what kind of is, you get that marshmallow thing, and sort of marshmallows to me remind me of Ghostbusters and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Monster. So why not?
Classic. Classic Ghostbusters. Not this newfangled one where.
No, it's the original. It's the original number one. The original number one in the 80s, and and we always kind of name our beers. From interest that we've always had, and we always try and do something a little bit different, put something kind of like a USP kind of on that certain product. And this one, we kind of, it was always made as a one-off, but the uptake we got on it and the interest that we got on it, and people were really enjoying it. And it's kind of, you know, I mean, if you taste the beer, it is a very sweet style porter. We don't use very much roasted malts in it. It's kind of, the majority of the dark malt is Carafa Special 3, so you don't pick up huge roastedness.
Yeah,
you get in that kind of smooth kind of roastiness that allows the sweetness and the vanilla to come through on it.
Yeah, for the people listening there that aren't super technical, Carafa Special, when you hear the term special when they're talking about roasted malts, it means that the husk has been removed from the barley before it's roasted. So they take the literally the raunchy bits off of the sugary bits, and then they roast it, which means is that when we use it as a brewer, you don't get the kind of acrid, astringent, bittery notes. You just get the kind of chocolatey notes. So
yeah. No, and it works well. And what's... Go on, sorry.
No, I've just got a comment in saying I love the can for this one, which is going to be something that's a common theme for you guys, because your brand is brilliant and loved worldwide, right?
Yeah, we do. I mean, brand is super important, isn't it? You know, it's... Yeah, you got to stay puffed. Yeah, it's your branding is a shop window, isn't it?
Your brand says we're Welsh, and we're very proud of it. We don't have to be traditional, and we don't have to have a lion or a big red shirt or a sheep. But we're very Welsh, and we're very fucking proud of it. And that brand comes through in likes of Club Tropicana, like just brilliant reinterpretation of a classic. I suppose a brand in itself as a style of beer. Like, it's just brilliant. But yeah, the brand, I think, is something that Welsh people are very proud of, right?
I think so. Well, to be honest, we kind of sell more beer into kind of the rest of the UK than Wales. So kind of about 80% of our sales are in England and Scotland. So it's not too much in Wales, believe it or not. But
I've been there. I've been up in Scotland with the guys from Cave, and they're like absolutely horsing through pallets of Club Tropicana, and I'm like, how? It's got to be a phenomenal product, but backed by a brilliant brand that people in the UK are proud of and love, not just Wales, right?
Yeah, exactly. It is. You know, we're super proud to be Welsh, and we always try and put a bit of Welshness into our kind of products. You know, Club Tropica. Its club is, you know, CLWB, which is the Welsh spelling for club. You know, we do kind of play on it a little bit because we're proud. You know, we're proud Welshmen. I think people from Wales are, you know, pretty proud, and
So we were thinking of actually, like, we were thinking about doing this a while ago. I remember Mike wanted to do an orange cream soda, and I was like, you know what we should do? We should talk to the guys in Tiny Rebel about doing a Club Orange. Because we've got a very famous brand in Ireland called Club Orange, which is like a Club Orange, like a mineral, like a Fanta, but tastier than a Fanta. And an alcoholic version of that would be unbelievable if you could do it in a beer or in, I don't know, God forbid, a seltzer. But something that like tastes very close to an orange could be brilliant. But then again, the brand would never allow you to do it. And the first thing that raced to my mind was Club Tropicana, because that was a brilliant workaround.
Yeah. What we should do then? Let's do it. I reckon that'd work.
There's the collab.
You didn't even hesitate on that one.
Exactly. Yeah, we've got. You're talking about cream soda now. We're looking at a cream soda beer. We've got our birthday beers coming up in February. So there's a cream soda that we're looking at now, and it's a bit of fun, isn't it? When you do these beers with these flavors and messing around. As you know, these beers are not meant for kind of, whether it's a cream soda, cream orange, they're real good impact beers, but it's a bit of fun, isn't it? And it's good for the beer drinker. I mean, I'm a beer geek. I'm a big beer drinker. I'm a big fan. I've been following along tonight as well. I'm a bit tipsy at the moment, but it's all part of the fun, isn't it? So, yeah.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Just a bit of crack.
It is a bit of crack. It is a bit of crack, but also, like, it has to be said, you guys are killing it. You're about the same age as us, I think, as a brewery. Maybe 7 years old, maybe a year older.
Yeah.
And you've got maybe, I don't know, 100 people employed there in the south of Wales?
Yeah. Well, I'm a bit greyer than you, so I think we're a bit older. So
don't judge. Don't judge that.
We've got the brewery probably employs around 50, and then through the bars that we've got, it's around 130, 140. So
yeah. No, it's a phenomenal business, and the brand is like, the brand's ever present. It's brilliant, and it's not in Ireland yet. And that, like I was saying to you when I was talking to you about bringing the beer here for the festival, this is a brilliant introduction to Irish people, because Irish people, by and large, love seeing new beer coming into the country. We've been asked, literally been asked by the kind of our community around the White Hag to bring more new beers in, bring more guests in, people who we've got to meet on our travels, bring the beer back, and that's one of the things that we love doing in festivals like this, is put a couple of guest beers in there, a couple of really fast moving guys and a couple of new guys, and it's brilliant to have you as part of the event.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for having us as well. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Okay,
as well.
two things coming out of this. Hagstravaganza next year, if you're available, 25th of July, I think. Get yourselves over to Sligo with a surfboard. You're in. You're all in. You're all in. And a collab called Club Orange. It's happening.
Done.
Now the work's over to you. The work's over to you. Brilliant. Gaz Williams from the south of Wales, Tiny Rebel. Thanks a million, man.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Cheers.
Thanks, man.
All right. We're going to keep moving. How are you facing? How are you doing? Is everyone... I don't mean to be Ryan Tuberty, but how are you at home? How are you at home? How are you doing? I've no audience. I've no audience to talk to, so I'm talking to you. There's about 80 people watching on YouTube and the rest are on Facebook.
Is there actually people watching?
Yeah, there is. There's loads of people watching. Joe gets paranoid about people watching. A couple of comments there to make sure, keep Joe engaged, right? All the way from Longford, said no one ever, apart from Albert Reynolds.
Where's
all
Longford?
The way from Longford, from a place outside Longford, actually, it's so remote. If you thought Longford was bad, outside Longford is the most remote place you can be, apart from Roscommon. Big shout out to Shane and Liam, actually, who are probably watching. Can we bring in Sean Colohan from Wide Street Brewing, and all his cohort there, all the gang, all the posse down in Wide Street?
I saw a little black square there. I saw
there
what
he
you
is.
did.
He looks surprised.
Look Asian. What are you doing? Sean, can you hear us?
Sean, have you got us there? Oh, the blasted internet has let us down again, has it?
He's using that.
Have we got Sean? Mike? It's bad, is it? Is the internet bad?
We'll try to get Sean back.
Oh, no, it's good enough. You're back, Sean.
There he is.
There he is.
Up. He's there.
No.
He's...
Sean, you've got about a minute now before we bring Jampa back in. Jampa is flat out drinking in Milan, and he's telling me...
Lads, I want to hear Jampa. Can we bring Jampa back in? Can we do a three-way?
We can't do a three-way yet. Sean, are you on your own there?
I'm not on now. I won't lie to you. But we had the whole Canon crew is here today, and we've had a ton. I'd say, no, we had 48 oysters.
48.
24 stouts. 48 oysters and 24 stouts.
You look like you had the 24 stouts there, and that you started on them already, did you?
I feel like I'm watching the Kung Fu part of the Marco Polo on Netflix.
Is it working okay? Looks like it's a bit dodgy, huh?
It's a bit slow, but fuck it, we'll keep it going.
Yeah, we'll keep it going.
For people who don't know, right, there's going to be people joining us who've come through the White Hag channel, and they don't know Wide Street Brewing, right? I'm going to get you to summarise this in a minute, because I've known you for 6 years, and it's very hard to summarise Sean and Carla. Go.
Thanks a lot for having us, Bob. I just want to say that straight away. You you take on a lot of small breweries as well as the big breweries. I have a lot of people there laughing at me in through the window when I'm saying this too. But we're predominantly Brettanomyces, mixed fermentation and sour beer production company. Thanks for having us on.
That's it. That's you guys in less than. You did that in 5 seconds. That's impossible to do. That's your
15 seconds.
Elevator pitch was fucking 5 seconds.
Yeah.
We're predominantly mixed firm and sour. And the beauty of this is that you haven't hidden this under a bushel. You've gone and told everyone over the last 5 years this is what we're doing, and you are a specialist, and you're sticking to your guns on that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, well, we're still at it. We're 90%. All of our tanks are 90%. We do 100% Brettanomyces pale ales. All of our sours are mixed fermentation sour. There's no quick sour type stuff going on. So there's no kettle sour and stuff like that.
Joe, like
and our new sour is. Yeah, we don't.
He knows.
No kettle sour. I thought Joe might like that.
Yeah, he knows. He knows.
Well, with the
tell us about this beer. Tell us about the beer.
Tell us about this one.
Because this is phenomenal.
Because this is not a sour, so.
No, absolutely no kind of Brettanomyces, no lactobacillus or anything in this. We're using the Trappist yeast. We use the stout recipe, maybe 1% roast malt, 10% chocolate malt, and the rest of it is there's like 5 different malts in it. But it's Trappist yeast to ferment it with, so that was the kind of kicker on this one.
Sorry, one more time. It was a little bit broken.
Yeah.
Would you ferment this with, Sean?
The Trappist yeast from
Trappist yeast.
The Abbey yeast.
The Abbey yeast, yeah.
I think it's called. Yeah.
And this was fermented in steel, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So you have essentially a stout, but fermented with an alternative yeast, the Trappist yeast, not fermented, the.
Exactly. We're aiming for was we wanted to make a Belgian stout, but without Brettanomyces, without lactobacillus, without the kind of the mayhem.
Yeah, so leaving it with a bit of residual sugars and stuff, which
exactly.
Yeah. No,
which we never really do.
Pretty much nailed it.
So, what you get with the Trappist style yeast, you get that kind of spicy nose. It's almost like a peppery.
Yeah.
Like
tiny bit of chili.
Yeah, you get that kind of that peppery. Pepper skin nose that comes from the Belgian yeast and
yeah, I mean we're totally relying on the yeast to provide the flavor rather than additions of spices and fruits and stuff like that. It was an experiment just to see what would happen.
It's phenomenal. It's really good. That's really drinkable.
And when you go looking for it, when you want to try and see did to make stouts, and if you do a bit of research, there's not that many out there. Like there's absolutely nothing out there because the Belgians are using their own yeast. They call them a dark ale or something, but
yeah.
Yeah,
no, it's funny. We did a beer a couple of years ago with Berlo from Berlin, and it was a sour stout. It was a sour stout, and then we had 2 kegs left over in Berlin, and the guys from Schniul took those 2.
Ulrika.
You remember Ulrika, yeah.
Yeah.
She took it, and
added her Brettanomyces.
Yeah, she re-fermented on Brettanomyces and brought it over here for extravaganza, and it was just. They're all Brett. Like, she's just phenomenal. I had one a couple of weeks ago found in the back of the fridge. Little 330 at 3.5%, just unbelievable. But like that, phenomenal once given the time and the treatment. But like, she is just 100% sours and mixed
her beers are savage too. I was just saying I cracked one open the other day with Brettanomyces and with habaneros in it. 3.6%.
Yeah.
Okay. You really make it like habanero.
You're very kind. You're very kind. No, but she just makes phenomenal beer, like one of those unique breweries, you know. A bit like the guys in the Netherlands. What's your man's name? He did the barrel program here as well. The Farmhouse Brewery.
You're asking me names?
I'm asking you names. You probably remember him, Sean. He did Hag Extravaganza 3 years ago, or 2 or 3.
The Dutch guy.
There's some of you watching. If you're watching and you know who it is, comment. The guy with the long beard and shit.
He's always at Carnival, but down the Macy's too.
Yeah. But look, it's a unique selling point, and it is a phenomenal trait in the brewery. Tell us about the oysters. What did you do with the oysters? Because I know you had 48 oysters.
What we did today, and I had to take a few notes because you left me on so late, Bob.
Okay.
We had a local chef call around, a local studio, the Four Hands studio, and they used kimchi.
Kimchi
with apple cider vinegar in. I'm getting sneered in the window here now. I need to.
I guarantee you've got 40 people in the brewery. None of them police. Who are looking out the window going, more oysters!
I'm checking the notes, Bob. That's all I'm doing. I'm not looking at the people out the window fucking sneering in it.
Class.
Okay, I'm only messing. I'll tell you exactly what we did. We had shallots and apple cider vinegar with lime and lemon. A lime and lemon classic, which was one of them.
Lemon and lime classic. 7-Up oyster.
Kimchi with apple cider vinegar.
Oh, nice. Kimchi with apple cider vinegar. Oh, that's a nice touch, yeah. Because I love kimchi. Kimchi would actually go really well, yeah.
And then one of my neighbours, Andrew, called in, and we used an air fryer to do some with parmesan.
An air fryer?
Garlic and Worcestershire sauce. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Air fried. Yeah. Can you hear this?
Nice.
Air fryer with Parmesan. One more time. Parmesan
and garlic Worcestershire sauce.
Garlic butter, Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire.
Just keep saying Worcestershire.
It's not as bad as juxtaposition.
That sounds phenomenal. I'm going to start something here, right? I'm going to start something, Sean, and say that you and the lads who are doing the canning, obviously all working today, you're still knocking around the brewery this evening, and you're enjoying the oysters, and you're enjoying the bit of crack, and you're also enjoying everyone else on the stream. There's probably an opportunity for a multi-brewery, multi-beer event, whereby it's not just hosted by me and this guy standing between two firms, but actually we just hop between breweries for beers, kind of like this.
Easily be done.
But there's now with social distancing and all that there's still an opportunity to do that. We should do that. We should definitely do that. If you're online,
with you, how many people?
You're not allowed to ask that. You're not allowed. He's not allowed to ask that, Sean.
It's no different than
our
family.
Our canning crew today is all manual, so we have 4 people here today. Including
42
myself.
people. We have 42 people doing the canning.
Let's give them a hello, get them on, man. Let's get them on.
Laura, not saying that.
Okay.
No. We have four people here. That's it.
But it's, in fairness, it's small batch and it is fairly laborious. It's pretty manual. He knows. I told him I'd out him. I told him I had the feds watching this.
I'm only getting the cheer there now. There won't be a serious delay on this thing.
Brilliant. Sean, the beer's phenomenal. I'm hoping you're following YouTube to see what the comments are. If you like the beer, stick it in the comment section on YouTube for Sean. Say hello to Carla. Say hello to the canning crew for us.
She says hello as well.
What?
Carla is here. She says hello as well.
Hello, Carla. How are you keeping?
Long time no see.
Thanks a million.
Maybe next summer, hopefully.
Next summer. We'll see you back here. Sean,
thanks a lot for having me.
Big love to the lad from Massive. Thanks a million. Talk to you soon.
Love you, man.
Cheers, man.
Thanks, lad.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
One of the best things that you ever get a chance to do in this business is bring people like White Street along with you and just say, have you tasted this? To other people, and then say,
right.
Here's someone making unique beer in Ireland.
Well, White Tree is the how do you say this? Hopefully it continues, because like it's the epitome of the free market. It's the epitome of, I want to do something that nobody else is doing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like
unashamedly. Pin the colours to the mast and say, I'm going to do this really fucking well.
I'm going to build a brewery. It might be a small brewery, doesn't matter, but I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do what I want. Yeah. I'm going to put stuff out there that's crazy. Yeah. Nobody else is doing it. And you know what I mean? I don't need to be Jeff Bezos. I don't need to be a trillionaire. I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to brew the beers I want to brew. And if I find enough people to buy it to keep me and my wife in a salary, then you know, like that's
the funny thing about these guys is that about White Street was that we brought them to the UK with the January of this year or last year. They were in the that Canberra festival, right? And I'd always recommend them.
I wasn't there.
No, you're not allowed anymore. They're one of the breweries that we always say, listen, have you met these guys? And I actually said it to Cormac and Honest Brew recently. Have you had this beer? Because you should, because it's doing something in a niche that's just brilliant. Phenomenal fun to have along. Also great crack and very abusive, Sean Colin. Very abusive.
Sean, you found him abusive.
He gives you some hassle. He gives you some hassle when your back is turned. We are going to skip along. We're ploughing through the beers. How are you getting on with the beers? How are you getting on with the oysters? Let us know in the comments. We are thrilled to see so many people sticking with us as we go. We're nearly there. The toy show is all but maybe 15 minutes away. We are bringing 2 more people in. There's still no sign of Jampa, but if we can get Jampa in, we're going to get him in, even for 2 minutes.
I would say if we can, we still talk about the beer, because I think people want to know about the beer. So
yeah. No, we're definitely going to talk about the beer. We'll probably finish up on Lambrada. We'll finish up on Lambrada,
right? If we can't get them, we'll still
talk about the beer.
Yeah.
So next up, we've got Matt Curtis, Ollie Acorn from Hazelwood, from Lockgill Distillery / Aharu, may or may not be joining us, but Matt Curtis is on the line. Matt Curtis, how are you keeping?
I'm very well. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Matt. We can hear you.
I can hear you. Wonderful.
Matt,
you look surprisingly sober.
We get the wrong beer now.
I would say that I'm in the art of drinking. I have experience, and I learned a lot of it from you, Bob. Honestly.
There's no way you learned session drinking stout and oysters from me, did you? No. Hardly.
I don't know. You gave me a lot of practice. I was at Hagstravaganza in 2018 and had a wonderful time. But I think after the festival, I kept going. About 8 hours of drinking at the festival, then I just kept going till about 3 in the morning. There was definitely some fried chicken about 1 o'clock in the morning, which bolstered me. I don't know where or what, but it was fried chicken.
The Four Lights boys.
It was good crack.
I think it was good crack.
Look, one of the things like, oh, you fucker! Look, oh, jeez, he was ready with it and all. Hold on. I'm going to try and do that. What have you got? I'm going to match you.
Okay, so I'm going to open the beer you asked me to talk about.
Yes. You've got the Mexican hot chocolate. Yeah.
So I'm going to have that bit of lemon. I'm just going to go dead simple. Bit of lemon.
Exactly what I've just done. Oh, karma. Not karma. What's the other word? You've got lemon and oyster. Sláinte.
Great.
Oh, that's really good. Huh. That's phenomenal. You've got the Mexican.
They're so creamy.
That's the one thing people have said. Really creamy. And you like oysters? Are you like, since you've been here? Because one of the first, so obviously people who know Matt is the founder and an editor, co-editor of a very famous beer drinking magazine.
Calico magazine.
But how do you position it? Do you position it as a drinking magazine or as an authority on beer, Pellicle?
That's a good question. So I am the publisher of a magazine called Pellicle.
Yeah.
And my business partner and creative partner is a chap called Johnny Hamilton.
Johnny.
Who's from Northern Ireland. He brews at a fabulous brewery called Newbarns in Leith. But we're beer guys. I'm a beer writer, he's a brewer. So I would say 75% of our focus is on beer. We are a beer magazine. And the founder of All Beer Insider. Thank you very much. What an honour. Thank you.
I'm not sure. Sorry, Matt. I'm not sure where that came from. It should say Penicillin.
It's lovely.
Pellicle.
It's an honour. So we also love wine, and we love cider, and we love food, and we love the places that you go and get it. So we wanted to bring that in. We wanted to bring the appreciation of tasty beverages essentially together. So we love beer, but like, have you tried this cider? This is also amazing. But also to get people who love wine and cider to go, wow, this isn't the beer I'm used to. This is different. Not just talking about mixed fermentation and beers in big bottles, just like expressing beer as something more than just a 4% fizzy liquid you drink at the end of the day. Not that isn't also a wonderful thing. But yeah, we're a drinks magazine with a strong focus on beer, is the short answer. We've been going for about 18 months now, so it's good.
So people would have known you from Good Beer Hunting and also writing for Ferment, writing for a bunch of other publications. But Pellicle is something that is probably a labour of love initially, but is commercially standalone your main income, your main business right now?
Good question. So I haven't actually made any money from Pellicle yet.
No.
I am in a lucky position where I have I write for a lot of publications, like you mentioned, Ferment. I actually still do a bit of writing for Good Beer Hunting. I did an article for them this year on malt and a load of other publications. Pellicle is a 10-year plan to grow what we see as a needed independent voice in, I say UK beer. We've got an article in the pipeline so Ireland is our third biggest audience, so the UK is our biggest audience, then the US, and then Ireland. So we want to commission stuff on Irish breweries. In fact, our first ever article was about eating oysters in Sligo at the Oyster Farm.
And that's why I just asked the question.
Literally the first article we published, and it was a great marker because it had beer, but it had the experience. It wasn't just like here's the Black Pig Stout. It was about the experience and that beer in its own context, while also saying the White Hag are doing some wonderful things. Hunter at Wild Atlantic Oysters is doing some wonderful things, but bring that together in this setting by the sea. I don't know. It was a magical experience. The
distillery. You brought us. We brought you to the distillery, and we were hoping to have Ollie. We don't have Ollie, Mike, do we? We don't have Ollie yet. 2 minutes. Ollie's going to join in 2 minutes. So you met Ollie at the distillery, Matt. Yeah. Ollie was one of the first employees of the Lockhill distillery of Aru, or Aru is the brand, and he is the passion. He is the grunt worker that has been there from the start.
The muscle
within the distillery, and that's why we thought it was really nice to pull you in here at this point. When we bring Ollie in as well, because you were there before the pot stills were actually in place, right?
It was 2018, June, July, and we definitely tasted some whiskey from the barrels, some cask strength stuff, but no, I don't think the pot still was in.
No, because I think,
This beer, can I just interrupt?
Yes,
the Dark Druid, it's delicious. It's a great dessert beer. It's not too sweet because the chilies kind of take off that extra sweet edge. I don't think it's the best beer with oysters because I think dry stout is what you want for oysters. Just Black Pig all day long.
I think that you might be, what do you call it?
It's just my palate.
But you've also been schooled by at the sea edge, at the edge. I think you call it the edge of the earth.
Yeah.
Down at Strand Hill.
You've stood
on the
there.
peninsula. You've stood there, touching the water with an oyster and a dry stout in your hand. So that's nothing. Like I've seen that, and nothing touches that experience, right?
What's the word?
It changes you. It changes the way you think about life.
That's a phenomenal thought. That's a phenomenal thought.
That was a very magical day, though, man. I remember that day. And there was standing there at the Oyster Farm, just the way the weather was, the way the water was, the sky. It all came together. It was just one of those things that, like, it's what you would see in a film. You know what I mean? Like, it was almost like it was done on purpose. So that kind of skews your opinion.
Your old buddy Paul Jones texted me in like January of last year, going, "Are we going to the Oyster Farm this year?" And I wasn't.
This is my partner Diane. She's come to say hello.
You guys should know that we're also streaming this live on the Cloudwater Lock-In Lockdown chat right now downstairs in our house.
This is my partner Diane. She works for Cloudwater, and they're hosting a video call downstairs. So
sorry to gate crash. I just want you all to know that Paul Jones told me and potentially paid me to do this. Bye.
Potentially.
I have to admit, before I logged in tonight, I met Paul because we're locked down here in Manchester, and we had a few cans in the park and caught up. So I came into this a few cans deep, but not to my detriment. It's been. I haven't socialised with anyone in a long time, so I feel quite fulfilled. If I'm being honest, I might cry.
In fairness, he's great company. But Paul rang me going, are we eating oysters? He didn't even ring. He texted going, are we doing oysters this July? And it was in January. And the idea was, like, it really hit home to me that the experience for him was go to Sligo, be part of the White Hag thing, but get to the Oyster Farm. And I genuinely really felt for what we do when we go to Manchester is crazy Pedros. if there's one thing we love, it's crazy Pedros till 3 a.m, right? And it's crazy Pedros is our version.
Trying to piss off every bouncer that works there.
But it's our version of you guys coming to the Oyster Farm, and it really hit home how much impact that has. This experience has so.
Yeah, I think it's the same for all beer festivals, and like Ian from Fine was on earlier. He's a great friend of mine, and he was the last person I went to the pub with in March. In Liverpool we were, which was not a safe place to be in March. But,
or ever.
But Fine Fest is another example. Like these events, they're so, the meaning has really come into focus because they leave us quite fulfilled, and I really miss it, and I'm really crossing my fingers that next year we can do Friends and Family and Beer and Hagstravaganza and Fine Fest and just get back to having a few beers with our pals.
Yeah, for sure. The oysters are special and the effort was worth it, said someone. Tell us about your oyster. What did you eat it with? How did you put it away? Apart from the lemon, we've done the lemon one. Have you had any interesting, because you do interesting shit, so you're going to tell us something interesting.
English mustard.
I've done very basic. So I actually think these oysters are best with Tabasco. I think that's just super simple, loads of Tabasco. But the other thing I love to make is a mignonette. So red wine vinegar, really finely sliced shallot. The classic mignonette is great. But I've got lemon on. I'm going to have another one. I've got one more.
Oh, go on. We have one as well. We'll go split screen.
Cheers.
Oh, Tabasco, yeah?
Loads of Tabasco.
We're going to go split screen, and we're going to go Tabasco.
Last one.
This is more Tabasco / more oysters than I've ever had.
Oh, can I have some whiskey?
Yes, you can have whiskey, and we'll bring in Ollie. Can we bring in Ollie Acorn from?
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Hey,
How are you, Ollie?
I'm good. Just wondering how mode.
You're actually in your garage.
I'm in the garage. It's the quietest place in the house. So
I'm literally pouring 180 euro whiskey into my oyster because I can. And
Jesus, that Tabasco is hot.
What are we on to now?
Sorry, Ollie. I'm gonna stop everything for a second.
Oh, that's a money shot.
Remind everyone that the whiskey you've gotten this evening is under the price, right? For 70 quid, people got either oysters and 12 stouts, 7 of which come from outside of the brewery, or they've gotten your whiskey and the 12 stouts. Either way, everything was really good value. And I'm not saying that as the proprietor, as the person selling it.
As the salesman.
As the salesman, but the whiskey, it was really popular because I think people realise you've got 3 14-year-old whiskies here that are of really high quality. Do you want to bring us through them?
Yeah, well, actually, the only one I have here with me is the Keshkaran, but we can go through all of them. The first one you have there is Anacuna, which is, as I said, it's 14-year-old whiskey, 12 years in bourbon barrels, and then it went into Pedro Jimenez sherry and Oloroso sherry, and then we actually blended those two at a 70-30 blend. So that came out, like, it has all those, those lovely dark, like, dried fruit flavors in there. I'm just realizing that, like, the background is, this is the quietest place in the house, so that's why I'm in the shed. But, yeah, so you do get there's a nice spiciness to that as well that comes from the Oloroso, and you'll also get some sort of nuts and raisins as well. So it's really, really good. The second one there is Nocta Ray, which is just Oloroso finish. So once again, it was in a bourbon barrel for 12 years, and then went into Oloroso. So you get a lot of the nuts and raisins, prunes, dates, that kind of thing in your whiskey. And then the third one is the Keshkaran, which went into Hungarian Tokaj barrels. And this one probably is my favorite. This one's sort of more fresh fruit.
The Keshkaran.
Keshkaran gives you more fresh fruit. I get a lot of, you get green pear, green apples on this one, and it's just lovely. It's really, really nice. Actually, nice with a bit of water as well. Like, it's watered back. It really opens up then. So it's lovely. Do you have any left?
Yeah. Well, I've got this, and I gotta say, I live at the foothills of Keshkaran. Beautiful place here in South Sligo, just outside of Ballymote. I have my own special bottle of this that you were kind enough to gift me. That it's gonna, I'll never. If it wasn't for this tiny little bottle that you sent us, I would never know what it would taste like because I couldn't open the big bottle.
Did you not get the bigger bottle I sent there recently, only 2 days ago?
Oh no!
Oh, there's a couple of bottles upstairs actually.
Oh, is there?
Chris,
is there?
Actually, he was off for Thanksgiving, and there's 2 bottles upstairs. 3 bottles upstairs.
I was going to say,
actually.
you need to chat to Brian. I think
fair play to Ali.
You nearly caught us there.
Fair play, Ali.
God for Thanksgiving.
I never heard about it.
Double thanks.
This is all I would have ever had of this tiny little bottle. These are beautiful whiskeys, and actually, you've got oysters there, yeah?
Yeah, you've got oysters on it.
Yeah.
And you are also a fan of oysters. We know this.
Big fan of oysters, yeah.
Have you put a splash?
I'm from Australia, so like at this time of year, this is when we'd be eating lots of seafood around Christmas time. So oysters, prawns, lots of fish. But oysters, I'm going to go with the traditional Australian way is oysters Kilpatrick, and I'm not sure if you've heard of that before, but it's basically Worcestershire sauce, balsamic vinegar.
There it is again, Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah, and a small bit of smoky bacon as well.
Smoky bacon.
Oysters.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's really good.
You can't get away from the old smoky stuff with the Australians.
Can you get? But can you really go wrong with bacon on anything?
No,
Like, you can put bacon on anything.
You can put bacon on vegan stuff and it'll be nice.
Especially smoky bacon.
I'm making one up here now, and do you have any
cooking it live, are you?
there?
This is a fresh oyster. You're not cooking it,
Are you
right?
bringing Matt back in there? Matt, smoky bacon and oysters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I approve. I'm here.
I'm awake. I'm up. Hello.
Not saying that the beers are taking their toll. I was just saying I'm really enjoying. I'm on the first whiskey, the Anacuna, and it's. Would you recommend putting a little bit of water or ice with it, or just taking it neat?
I would never put ice in it just because it's gonna it's gonna dull down the flavors. But yeah, a little bit of water is nice. And they're high strength as well. They're 48, so you can definitely bring them down a little bit more than that with some nice, just with a bit of water. Yeah.
I concur. I think the water brings out. The flavors and aromas a bit more on them.
Yeah.
But it's nice.
Sure.
It's nice to get them at 48. You're closer to cast strength. It's nice to get them at that, and then be able to control your own amount of water.
Yeah.
If you feel me.
But they would have come out of the cask at, I think they averaged at about 58.
Yeah.
So
we
haven't added much water to them, when they went bottling, but they're very, very good. And what's your favorite, Joe?
Mine.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't had them because obviously Bob's been holding out on me.
He's got bottles in the house.
I've just literally, this is the first time I've had the Anacuna. That's the first one we've got there. I put a little bit of that guy on my last little oyster. And I thought it was incredible. You know what I really liked about it was because I also put a little bit of the Tabasco. Now I'm on about the oyster now, but the combination, because Tabasco is actually barrel aged as well. So that extra bit of kind of barrel character that came through on the oyster was actually really incredible. Now the whiskey itself, when we turn the camera off, I'm definitely gonna give that a go.
I had some of the Knocknarea, but I'm going to try the Anacuna now.
I haven't had any of them.
Don't miss your train, Joe. Don't miss your train.
I don't have a train. My wife's, I'm a local guy.
I'm on the train. So I'm living in Sligo town now. I have to get the train to Clooney. A, I have to get on the train. B, I have to get off the train in Clooney. So, it is someone on the timetable.
Curtis, man, I'm a veteran at this.
The biggest worry I have, like in the whole business for me is, can we ever make a extravaganza train happen again? Like, can we get 1,500 people?
Will we ever hear you sing Oasis again?
Can we sing Oasis into each other's ears, like in concurrence, like through each other's ears, the whole way up a carriage? That's the worry I have for COVID.
Why couldn't we?
Can someone solve that problem for us?
Come on.
It was such a special evening.
Train. There's a very good picture of 8 people in a 4-person seat, and I think you're on the inside, Matt, up against the window, and basically everyone's delighted, big smiling, beaming faces, singing Oasis, but like 8 to a seat, which is inherently uncomfortable when you think about it.
Sure, we'll be at herd immunity. We'll be at herd immunity by next July. We'll be all right.
I think everyone was a little bit more flexible.
Positive thoughts.
I reckon you'll have it in July. I reckon you'll do it. I want to be an optimist and say there'll be extravaganza in July.
You have to. You have
to.
If there's one thing we're going to look forward to.
Herd immunity all the way. Don't think about it. Off we go.
Yeah. What are you supping on there, Matt? Is that still the?
This is the other half of the.
the other half.
The Dark Druid.
And
It's really delicious.
Really? Did you have any of the beer, Ollie? Did you get into the beers yet?
I just opened the Dog Brew there. It is lovely.
I just want to say
thank you for hooking me out with my cherry stout as well.
Ali was actually, him and I were just talking recently. He's doing a homebrew batch of like a chocolate coconut. Yeah, how's that going?
Chocolate coconut, cherry.
Imperial stout.
Imperial stout.
Imperial. That's the way to go.
And Joe gave me the insight on how to get the best coconut flavor in the beer. So, thanks a million, Joe.
Yeah, man, no problem. No problem.
I actually sampled it there this evening. It's really good.
Look, share the wealth, Ollie. If you need judges, bring it up here. We'll put it on a live stream. Joe will taste it. I'll taste it as well.
Shit all over it.
Yeah, we'll shit all over it. Tell everyone about it. Yeah, ruin your commercial career.
Just kidding, man. Just kidding.
Hey, we'd love that. Matt, parting thoughts on the Mexican hot chocolate, because you're a bit of a purist. You love really well made beers, right? You love the Colonel. You love a really well made pale ale, and you love a really good cask ale. So
apparently Curtis loves everything.
Stretching it to the Dark Druid. I'm interested to hear your feedback on that.
I'm not.
I think
my thoughts are: drink what you want, like no judgment. Don't yuck someone's yum. And I will say that I'm not a pastry stout fan, but I like a balanced beer, and I wouldn't pick a beer with chilies and cinnamon off the shelf. But this is just a really fun beer. Like this, it's tasty. It goes really well with the whiskey. Like it's a really good chaser. The sweetness of with the dryness of the whiskey, so it's delicious. I like a dry stout, but I'm very happy.
How do you find the balance now with the chilies and the cinnamon? Because you could very like my thought was, this is actually the first beer I've ever done with chilies. I've never actually ever bought a beer with chilies in it before, because I like spicy foods, but I don't want to drink spicy, right? So for me to do this was a bit of a challenge. I'm a huge fan of cinnamon. Obviously, most people know Americans love cinnamon. Cinnamon's it's a huge part of our culture somehow. How do you find the balance on those two ingredients? Obviously, I know I don't have to question whether or not you taste the cocoa, because I know you do. But how do you find the balance on the cinnamon and the chili on the back?
I think it could have a little bit more chili. I think you could be bolder with the heat. I think it's a balanced beer, but it's not too over the top. And I like spicy food. I like spicy flavors. So I think it's a balanced beer. But if you wanted to amp it up, I think that wouldn't hurt the beer.
But you find the chili there, yeah?
A little bit. I've just had some whiskey, and the whiskey is quite hot.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's my palate, but it's mostly the cocoa and cinnamon that's coming through.
This beer was designed after a Mexican hot chocolate, right? So a Mexican hot chocolate would not be necessarily chili forward, but the idea is that it kind of finishes with a little bit of heat at the back. So you'd get chocolate up front, the cinnamon would come through with that kind of, not curry, but like that kind of cinnamony in the middle, and then the very back of your palate at the very end, you get a little bit of a tinge of the chilies, and that's the idea there. Like I don't necessarily want you to taste the chilies, because in my head, when we drink stuff, it's supposed to be refreshing, or it's the opposite. It's like it's the antidote to things that attack our palate on the food side of things. But for me, for a drink, and especially having Mexican hot chocolates back in the States, the chili was always a very final note, and it was always at the very back. But I appreciate that. I think with what you're saying, if I would have went harder on the chili, it might have maybe been
just a touch.
Yeah.
I'd love to try this on nitro. I think that would be a brilliant nitro surf beer.
Oh, don't talk to us. If there's one thing we'll do better in future, it'll be nitro, right?
We love nitro.
We love nitro. You've had it on draft. You've had it on draft in a lot of your locals when you lived in London. I think you're going to have one or two locals in Manchester serving nitro draft.
I think Cask have it, don't they?
Cask have it. Cask have it constantly. Yeah. What a bar.
Yeah.
Ollie, we're going to come back to you because aside from the whiskey, obviously you've had a bunch of the people you've seen tonight in as visitors, but in the kind of 3 years we've been coming to you guys as tourists and as neighbours, we haven't quite seen you at the level you're at the moment. What are you doing right now in Lochgill in terms of production and what you're putting out to the market?
This year has been massive for us. We finished commissioning the plant in late 2019, and then this year was all about sort of trying to get the plant dialed in as quickly as possible, so that we could start and then ramp up and obviously start producing as much spirit as possible. So we have managed to get to about half production. So we're doing 10 mashes a week at the moment, and then going into next year we'll go up to 14 mashes. By Q2 we should be at 24/7 production. So it's been a steep incline, to get where we are, and the feedback on obviously it's all about we're trying to get the spirit quality right, and then get all the procedures right for all the operators coming in, so that we're getting a consistent product. It's all about consistency for us, that the spirit is right, and then we're going to be casting into bourbon barrels and Oloroso barrels for maturing. So it's all happening. It's happening pretty fast.
Just click the link in his email, yeah?
Yeah, no, and I was there in the you can hear me all right, yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you there.
Yeah, sorry, I had just a little issue with my mic. I was there in the very early days with you guys bringing all the barrels in and stuff, and having the luxury and the privilege to try some of these early, finishing barrels and stuff. And what I'm trying here is, I don't know who's the mastermind behind these, but the barrels that are being chosen are absolutely phenomenal. I'm
obviously not master blender sort of thing. Like I'm running the plant, and then we're really lucky to have the likes of Billy Walker. He was world distiller in 2015. He's a master blender over in Benallachie in Scotland, and he gave us the list of casks basically to put the next 6 releases into. We have the next 6 lined up, ready to go. 3 of them are actually kind of nearly ready to go already. So, but he's really the mastermind behind it all, and steering what we're doing,
No, it's deadly, and yeah, absolutely, it's incredible what's coming out of there. Sligo is, from my perspective as an outsider, something that was never really on a tourist map. I think within the next 3 to 5 years, between what you guys are doing, hopefully what we're able to do, and it's just, it's phenomenal stuff.
There's a little project we'll announce in the next couple of weeks that we're working on, Ollie. Matt, you'll actually love this, but we won't tell you what it is until we're off screen. But there's something that's going to tie 3 or 4 food drinks producers together locally here, and it'll really underline the importance of working together. So yeah, we'll hope to announce that before Christmas. I think we're going to let everyone go because I think we've got Jampa coming back in for the last 2 or 3 minutes. I know the toy show has started, but there's still a bunch of people sticking with us. So, Matt,
thanks a million, guys. Listen,
thank you so much for having me.
Great work.
Lads, thanks a million. Cheers. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Always good seeing both of you guys. Love you.
Good luck.
Love you. Bye.
Good luck.
You too.
Okay, we think we have Jampa because we're going to round up on the Tiramisu Imperial Stout. So get that out of the fridge. Do we have Jampa? Are we bringing him in?
Jampa has no respect for the toy show, man.
No respect. Jampa doesn't know the toy show.
I guarantee my...
Jampa!
For sure.
Dude, what have you been doing, man? You're like an hour late.
2 hours. You're 2 hours late.
Oh, little bit. 2 hours is normal for...
My kids have been trying to go to bed waiting for Jampa. Oh, yeah. There it is. You got the wine, you got the whiskey, you got the beer.
Lamb.
What is that?
You got lamb.
Raw lamb.
It's
Jeez,
Friday night, half 10. He's got raw lamb.
Raw lamb, you crazy bastard.
Where are you?
Guys, this is my fucking kitchen with fucking friends. It's like a pub.
Like a party.
Like a party.
Whiskeys, beers, friends.
Oh, Jampa.
And now we put on this.
If anyone's got questions for Jampa, now's the time to ask them. We'll stick them up in the comments.
Yes, sir.
Oh, the lamb chops are actually frying on the
For
pan.
sure, because in 2 hours we have a drink. A lot of fucking beers, a lot of whiskey, and now we are drinking wine and eat some fucking lamb. You know, lamb, lamb of God.
Tell us what you're really doing, Jampa.
Lamb of God.
Hey, Jampa, did you get the oysters? Have you got the oysters?
Sorry?
Have you got the oysters? Did you
no, we don't have because your package is not arrived because we are on the Black Friday everywhere. In Italy is I think very difficult arrived. Oh wow!
Oh wow!
That
was your ear.
Now I'm sorry. I must put the lamp and you can speak with the Paulino. Wait a minute.
Stick on Paulino. How are you, Paulino? Sorry, we didn't have you on the call list.
Fucking Jampa.
Ciao, how are you guys?
Ciao, Tucci.
If you can put Jampa back on for 1 minute.
We are a fucking Italian guys and we love eat. Drink and make sex.
We knew this wasn't going to be family footage.
Good.
Jampa, tell us this. Tell us something about the stout.
Sorry?
He's gone. Is he gone?
He's cooking.
He's cooking the lamb. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to cut it short because we're cutting into the biggest
toy show
of the year. I think we've lost Jampa. Have we lost Jampa? We've lost Jampa. We've lost him. It's not hard.
I'm sure my kids are relieved anyways because I knew they were watching.
The reputation of the business is relieved, genuinely, because anything could have happened there. It's amazing they were all wearing clothes.
Sure, anytime you bring Jampa on, you know what you're getting.
I'm going to say something, right? This beer, the Tiramisu Stout, right, was the first pastry stout that I've tasted that blew my mind. And I tasted it in Norway 2 years ago. Came back, talked to you, and was like, this shit is unbelievable. And we got to get in touch with these guys. We got to get them over here. They came over pretty soon after.
It's like a tiramisu?
Yeah, I'm going to say a month or two later, came over. hung about for a couple of days.
Hung about.
Drank the shit out of it here for 3 days.
They nearly planted flags everywhere they went.
Yeah. They went to Strand Hill, drank through all of Strand Hill, brought themselves through Ballymote into Sligo town.
Let the trail of burning tears through Sligo.
But brilliant crack. Anyone who's met the guys when they've been here won't forget them. But they make amazing pastry stouts, and they introduced us to the concept, and also the producers who help us kind of put these beers together. And I suppose it's a testament to them that the likes of collaboration brews we do really work. They really impart knowledge, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have Limbrata was kind of the inspiration for Hagstravaganza in the sense that Paul and I was in Milan the year that they were having like their 20th birthday celebration.
Yeah.
And we were just having like a little whatever you want to call it at a
trade trip, or
but we were at
Sourfest or the Sour Love, no?
Yeah, but at the same time we were at a bottle shop on the corner of the street, about a half a mile down the road from their brewery, Limbrata. And we were just hanging out in the corner. We were just doing a little beer tasting or whatever at this bottle shop, off license. And all of these people were coming down the street. They're still carrying beers and stuff. The Italians really know how to party. Like
they know how to drink on the street as well.
Yeah, they definitely know how to drink on the street.
Giampa is the Diego Maradona of brewing.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
Yeah. So all of these people were coming down the street. We met this big group of people. We were standing there, and they're like, "Oh, White Hag," and they were like really excited to meet us. And they were telling us all about where they were coming from, which was Limbrata's 20th birthday. And they were telling us all about their birthday. And I looked at Paul, and Paul looked at me, and I was like, dude, we should do that shit. We should have a birthday party where we just invite everybody to come down and drink beer. And that was pretty much the original concept of Hagstravaganza.
That's the inspiration. Their concept was, we've got a small bar and a big bar, and we'll just have a birthday.
Yeah.
And with no public crowd control, they just brought everyone in and had a big fucking party. Middle of the city. There was about 6,000 people at it. So they set up bars outside and didn't put crowd control or close off streets or anything.
No.
Crowds crawled, like you can Google this shit, you can see Lambrata birthday party 2016.
They were just chucking out pints.
Yeah, pour some pints out. Yeah, phenomenal. A great brewery.
Great people.
Hard to get information out of, but phenomenal for beer.
Yeah.
And if you're part of Clon, or subscription box, or you want to be part of Clon, what you'll notice is that we've opened Clon Core up for Christmas. So if you want a Christmas present for the one you love, get on our blog or on the store. We've got Clon Core opened up again just as a subscription for 12 months. But Lambrata are going to feature in a very short period of time. They're going to be one of the breweries featured as our guest brewery of the month. And also they'll be in a collab pretty soon. Are they going to be a collab?
Who's Lambrata?
Yeah.
Again?
Yeah. It's coming out in January.
Sure, if he'll show up. He's kind of like the stepdad that's supposed to pay child support or something like that.
He shows up when there's a party.
He shows
not when there's a bill.
For 5 minutes and he's like, I'm the only one drinking? See ya.
he is the crack. Also Luigi and Matteo and all the rest of the lads, they're awful crack. But the Festanuda, everyone remembers Festanuda, coming out again, hopefully in January, depending on if Joe decides if it's ready or not.
They're in barrels.
In barrels, that way. But.
Festanuda's in barrels.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's getting there. Getting there.
No promises when.
Okay, so we've gotten through pretty much 12 beers tonight, we think. Not sure if we missed one. We brought all the guests on. We brought everyone we promised to on.
We've had loads of oysters.
Loads of oysters, way more oysters than we thought we would. I hope you liked it. We hope you liked it. We hope you enjoyed the oysters, because that's the feature of this festival. We make beer, we make stout every year, every winter. But what we want to do is tie together.
What other county has better oysters?
Better oysters than Sligo? Who would that be?
Who?
Oh, bring one back in. Can we bring one back in there?
We grab
I'm
one
not
real
sure
quick.
if there's many. What I've learned internationally, is that France and Ireland have the best oysters, right?
Yeah, but you see, there's a lot of people don't know about French oysters. That a massive amount of French oysters actually come from Ireland. So, just to let that secret out there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so Irish oysters been on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's people come. If you ever go, like, there's Ashling's coffee shop in Sligo.
Yeah,
gets people from all around the place. She has a Sligo Oyster experience in there.
Yeah,
and she has people from all over the world coming in for tours, and you know, Fenton Ewing as well out in Ross's Point. Harry's,
he does the oyster experience
he
as well.
Oysters, he does nearly only oysters in the bar, like, so it's great. But I don't know how many times people have come in and left, like, you tell them they're the nicest oysters. We have oysters all around the world, like people who travel the world, and they say they're the nicest that they've ever had. Like,
so people have been texting me from a couple of countries this evening, and I'm sorry for being on the phone. It's very inhospitable / rude, but we've been trying to bring a couple of people in as we've been talking to them. People have said those oysters are unbelievable, and it's the best experience they've ever had. And it's kind of like the experience we want people to have with beer, because if you could make the best beer in the world, you'd make it all day long, but you can't. You can't make all the best styles, all the best beer in the world all the time. So what you do is you bring other people who are doing interesting things into your experience, and you try to get a little community around it. So all of you who are watching tonight, there's 150 people watching tonight as part of this. Ideally, what we've tried to do is make you part of a community of people and an experience that sees you tasting beers you haven't tasted before, eating oysters in a way you haven't eaten them before, and drinking whiskey that you probably haven't drank before, but is really, really good and of a really high standard. The ambition here is to kind of explore our boundaries, push our boundaries, and encourage our friends to do something that is a little further than we did last year, and hopefully we've inspired you. Hopefully you've inspired us, and we really thank you for joining us. We didn't think we'd be doing a festival in November when we opened in January, right?
This is hashtag first world problems. Craft beer is first world problems. You know, like this is a luxury idea, and it doesn't matter how many times they lock us down. They can't stop us. We're going to keep producing luxury products. We're going to keep producing things that people hopefully enjoy, and at the end of the day, like, just keep plugging along.
I'm going to leave you with three things, right? First one is oystersdirect.ie. They're serving oysters right up to the Christmas Day, 22nd, 23rd?
No, they'll be going out on the 22nd.
22nd. Last day for ordering is 22nd. Oystersdirect.ie.
You can order beforehand.
Yeah.
Just put your order in.
You can order tomorrow or tonight when you've drink taken. Okay, oystersdirect.ie. Ahru whiskey from Lochgill Distillery. That's the whiskey a lot of people chose. We're delighted you chose it. We'd love to see your feedback and comments. And the third thing is, we have just launched today on social media and by email to everyone in our subscriber base our Christmas catalogue. We've got 3 boxes, a gift voucher, and clan membership. We're also, for everyone who works in retail and all the retailers who stock our products, we've launched 2 different boxes. An Advent box, which is on sale at the moment, and a seasonal stout box, which will go on sale in about a week and a half's time. We really appreciate you joining us. We may try and do something before Christmas. Joe hasn't agreed to that, but then again, we don't tell him until the last minute anyways, so he turns up in good humour. If you're in Clon, there's an email coming to you on Monday. You have a very special box coming next week. Until the next time, thanks a million. Thanks for joining us.